Hi y'all, good morning. It is a little after sunrise, although it hasn't popped up over the trees yet, so we may get to see a little bit of it yet. But nevertheless, y'all, we are going after catfish today, and we're gonna do some dragging. We're gonna cover some water and try to put our baits in front of as many fish as possible out here. And to do so, we are going to use some newfangled technology, at least to me anyway. This is high-tech stuff today we're using, folks. But what I've done, I'm in this new kayak. The last video there was my first fishing trip in this thing. And I have since then connected the motor to the graph. There's a cord that came with the motor. I think it's called an Ethernet cord, but you plug it in up there at the top and run the other end to the graph, and now everything is connected. So if you look here, this little propeller icon, I can access all the motor functions right here on the screen. But this setup has a feature called follow contours. And for those of you that fish with me regularly on these videos, you know I like to follow the contours. When I'm working a ledge, whether I'm doing the top of it or the bottom of it, I like following the edges, working those contours, because that's what the catfish oftentimes do. They follow along those edges. And that's what we're going to do out here today. So the land over here, you can see, you've got the shoreline, it drops off, you've got a flat here. We're about 28 feet deep here where we're at. And then over here, it drops off again to the old river channel. I'm on the Tennessee River today, which is now a series of impoundments after they've built all the hydroelectric dams and stuff. But prior to that, it was a naturally flowing river, and the river channel would have been over here. So what I want to do, I want to work this top edge of this flat before it goes off into the old river channel. We'll just work along the edge. So I've watched a YouTube video on how to set this up, so that makes me an expert now, right? But apparently what you do is you hit the cursor button, and then you come over here and touch whatever contour you want to follow. So let's get that. Well, that looks good right there. And then we hit this button, this directional arrow, which brings up a drop-down box, and then we apparently go to follow, and then contour, and it will give us an option of what direction we want to go, and we want to work that way today to dodge the wind. So we're going to hit the purple line, and it said navigation started. So I guess then we just got to dial in our speed. I don't know how many prop speeds we have to get to the speed we want. Well, what we want, though, is about half a mile an hour, give or take, 0.3 to 0.7, somewhere in there. Half a mile an hour average is what I would like to do today. And then supposedly this thing is going to drive for us. And we're going to see how accurately it follows that line. But if it follows it pretty tightly, boy, is it going to make life easier, because then I'm not going to have to manually keep an eye on things and keep us where we need to be. It's just going to do it. So we'll see, y'all. Again, newfangled technology, at least to me. Some of y'all probably have access to this stuff, but I just got this kayak and motor and graph set up here recently, so we're going to try it out today. But let's get us some baits on, y'all. Enough yip-yapping here. I've got us 2 baits already cut. What we're going to do is we're going to put 2 baits side by side. We've got chicken and we've got shad. So this first rig here, we're going to run a gizzard shad head. I'm going up under the gill plate, out that nostril there. We're using light tackle today too. So this is a small hook setup on this one. The other rig's going to have a bigger hook. But this is a number 1 size hook, a 20-pound fluoro, a little float right there, right above the hook. That comes up to a inline dragging sinker, 15-pound braid for the main line. We got our Catfish Sumo light tackle rod and a Daiwa BG 4000 reel. So I'm going to cast this off behind us. And I'm not doing a long cast back there, just get it behind us a little bit, and we'll let out some line from there. And our next rig is going to be the exact same with one exception, and that is the hook size, because as we've talked about in the last trip there, when we're using chicken for bait, For some reason, fish tend to get gut hooked more often. I think it's just because it's not an actual fish, that they're not fearful of it escaping. They just inhale it instead of biting it. And that causes gut hooks, even when you're using circle hooks. So today I've got us a little bit larger size circle hook. That's a number 7, or a 7/0, excuse me. So we'll see how that does, and hopefully that'll prevent any gut hooks today. We'll see how it goes, but everything else on the rig is the exact same. All the other tackle's the same. So we'll send that out there behind us, let out a little line, and me and you, we're gonna get our speed dialed in here, and we're gonna start dragging and see how this goes. And if it works out, awesome, we'll keep doing it. If it don't, we will switch our rigs over and try some suspend fishing today. So let's put that there in the rod holder. I'm gonna swat a mosquito, apparently. It's summertime, you gotta love them. And right now our speed, 0.6, 0.7. Let's go, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go 1 notch lower on that. Try to slow us down a smidge more. So again, it's going to, I touched, when I set everything up, you push that cursor and then you touch whatever contour line you want to follow. So I touched that one right there on the top edge before it drops off over here to our left. I touched it, and so in theory, it's going to follow it all the way down through here as long as we want to go. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how tight it follows it. If it's all over the place, like if there's big gyrations and stuff, if the wind or boat wake or whatever hits us, then this isn't going to work out, because we need to, if we venture off too much, well, it won't be a big deal today with us dragging, but like if, let's say we were suspend fishing and you're going from, and you're trying to work that top edge or maybe even the bottom edge, whatever contour you're working. But if you're moving up and down that ledge side to side and your depth is changing greatly, well, you're going to end up snagged up. And again, it won't matter today because we're dragging, our rigs are on bottom anyway. But if we were trying to suspend, which I oftentimes do because it's my favorite way to fish, it would be a problem. So we want to see how tightly it's going to follow this line today, and who knows? We're learning this together. So what I'm going to do, what the hell is that? Do you hear that on the microphone? Somebody's got a damn trumpet over there or something. Boy, I mean, we're 7 a.m. here, folks, and people's out here blowing a damn horn. Anyway, I'm going to leave the camera rolling today, y'all. We're going to just leave it rolling, have a real fishing trip, and just kind of uncut video here so you all can see this in real time. We can learn this together and try to figure out this technology. I've watched a YouTube video to rig all this up. I got the kayak recently, and Old Town had sent me this kayak here to feature on the channel, and they are owned by Johnson Outdoors, which owns Minn Kota and Humminbird. So they have been kind enough to fully rig me out here with fancier gear than I deserve and what I'm used to for sure. So I'm still learning this, but it was a pretty simple process. That cord came with the motor. I didn't have to buy that. It came with it, included. So once I plugged it in, and it plugs in, I don't know if you can, the motor's turning up there, but there's a little silver knob up there at the top, right? That's where it plugs in, and I threaded it through the power cord over to here, and I just put some zip ties on it for the excess and laid it up here on the hatch for the time being. We'll sort that out if we end up liking this feature and want to keep it set up. But then it just plugs in the back, and as soon as I done it, it was registering the motor on there. Like I didn't have to set up any kind of connections or download anything, nothing like that. Like it was all rigged and ready to go once I done that. And that alone, having that cord connect the motor and the graph is a nice feature regardless, just for the simple fact that we can hit that button and operate the motor. For those of you that have been with me a while in these videos, You've seen me have problems with remotes in the past. So a few years ago, there was a bass tournament I was fishing. And this video is on my channel, for those of you who may remember it. But I was fishing, and I was on spot lock, making some casts and whatnot, and I go to come off spot lock to move, and I can't. My remote had tore up. It wasn't functioning. So the kayak, the motor is just in spot lock. I can't do anything. So I had to end up disconnecting the battery from the motor, or the motor from the battery, to turn it off so it could come off spot lock. But I couldn't get the remote working. So, and I was in my Hobie Pro Angler, I didn't have the pedals, so I had to end up paddling that barge that's not meant to be paddled for the rest of the tournament day. And I still ended up cashing in that tournament, thank goodness, but it really killed the day. And so after that, I was like, man, I gotta make sure I've got a spare remote on me at all times and all that. So if we went home right now and looked at the hatch of my Hobie Pro Angler, you'll see 2 extra remotes, batteries, anything I need for a remote problem, I've got it on there. Just so I don't want to end up in that situation ever again where I'm out on the water and I can't function because a remote tears up or batteries die, or maybe you lose the remote overboard or something. So being able to operate this on the screen, it's like having a backup remote. So I don't have to carry an actual backup remote or extra batteries, that kind of thing. If something goes wrong with this remote here that I have attached to my life jacket, if something goes wrong, breaks, batteries die, whatever, I can use the graph, or there's a phone app too that I was able to link the motor to. I could operate it off that. So nice feature in itself. But if this here will follow the contours very tightly, and so far so good with it, if it will do that, that would be huge. That would be a huge, at least for how me and you fish on these ledges and stuff, that would be a big help. So we'll see how it goes today. And again, I'm gonna leave the camera running and you all can see everything as you wanna wave at these bass boaters about to go by over here too. I'm filming this on a Wednesday morning, and I have seen a bunch of bass boats. They all come through at once. I think there must be some tournament going on, which is weird being a Wednesday morning, but there was a bunch of them come through all at once when I first got on the water, and we're getting a little bit later start. It's 7:05 right now, if that clock's accurate on the graph, but I'd hoped to be fishing earlier, but what I done, I come out of this creek over here around the other side of that tree line to the left. There's a creek runs back in there, and I launched in there, and I come out, and my plan was to go up that direction today, but the wind is kind of blowing out of that creek, and it was blowing enough that I knew if we went that direction, it was going to swing the back end of the kayak around, and I don't have a drift sock with me. And I was like, well, that's going to be a problem. So I've come this direction now, and so the wind, I still feel the wind blowing a little bit, but it's not affecting us at the moment. So hopefully this hillside over here is going to prevent the bulk of the wind from hitting us, and being able to keep this thing straight is what I want to do. I want to keep us going with our lines behind us as we move along. And we may have to tinker with our speed a little bit to do that, but when you've got a tailwind hitting you and you're trying to troll slowly like we are today, if that wind pushes you faster than you want to go, it's going to swing the back end of the kayak around. Kayaks always, I don't care what kind of kayak you're in, they always want to turn sideways into the wind. And if the wind is pushing you faster than you're moving, that's going to happen. You're going to turn and spin sideways, unless you've got a drift sock out that will offset that. Or you just go faster speed, that way the wind can't blow you faster. But we don't want to go that fast a speed. I want to keep us moving a reasonable, and speed this time of year, we're in the heat of summer here. We can go a little faster. I've caught fish. That one year I fished that North Carolina tournament on Kerr Lake. I was catching catfish trolling a mile an hour. And, you know, most of the time I'm moving half a mile an hour or less, but on that particular event, they wouldn't hit a bait going that slow. You had to go fast. If I wasn't going at least 0.8, I wasn't getting bit. Now, I stumbled in, I've told that story before, but I've stumbled into that by accident. I was over there practicing pre-fishing. And I wasn't doing any good. And I was just frustrated because the wind that particular day, it was cranking, man. It was blowing. And I got frustrated. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm just going to drift my way back to the car, let the wind push me back, and I was calling it quits on the day. And so I threw my baits out. The wind is pushing me back toward the car, and all of a sudden, rod goes down. And I look at the graph, and I'm moving like 1.2 miles an hour. I'm like, well, that's interesting. And shortly after that, here goes another rod. And I'm like, okay, we're on to something here. Once is an accident, twice is a pattern, as the old saying goes. And so the following day, I go out and I test that theory. Oh, we got one fish on right here. That's on our chicken. Okay. Number one, few minutes into the trip here, folks. And the other thing we're going to have to figure out with this motor is how quickly it will adjust. Oh, we got another fish on this rod. That one's going down. We're doubled here, folks. We must have went through some. I think that other one's still on at least. One of y'all grab that other rod for me. Oh, that's a tiny little thing here. That's a tiny one. We don't even want to fool with that. Let's get this one. Oh, this one's come off, I believe. Let's take a look and see what our bait looks like. If we've got bait still left on, we may need to switch it out. Oh, he knocked the hook. Look at that. He knocked the hook back up in the bait. That's why he didn't get fully hooked. Let's go ahead and let's switch that out. Let's go ahead and get this next bait cast out over here before we land the other fish, just to try to be efficient here and save on time if we can. It's another shad. We've got several shad today, various sizes of gizzards. Okay. If y'all would have grabbed that rod when it first went down, that might not have happened. I blame you all for that. Okay. Let's go ahead and cast that out back there. And we'll land our little dinkity-doo over here. I've been on some small fish the last few trips. It's been a struggle, and it always is this time of year during the spawn to get better quality fish, but they've been exceptionally small lately. But you know what? You got to take what the river gives you. And if the river's giving you this size of fish, well, we just roll with it. We out here to catch fish, folks. That's the goal. So as long as we're catching them, I can't complain too much, although I'm pretty good at finding stuff to complain about, ain't I, fish? This fish, he don't want to hear it. He just got a hook in the jaw. He's got more to complain about than any of us. All right, let's set that there and grab us another piece of old chicken here. This is one of the popular baits in the catfishing world. Not so much with me, but these summer months, when fish are eating mussels, and you catch them and their belly's just full of shells. Chicken does seem to catch a lot of fish during this time period. It's hard to get big fish consistently on the chicken, I feel like. That's my opinion on it. All right, we got that one cast back out now. Get both of these rolling again, and we'll be ready for the next one. I ain't running these things too far behind us. We really don't need to. The water being as calm as it is today, I mean, even with the wind blowing like it was when I come out of the creek. It's not like it's any chop. It was just blowing enough. It was going to be a problem blowing the back end of the kayak around, but it's not real choppy, so there's no real reason to run these things super far behind us to anything. But as I was saying on the other story there, y'all, before that fish so rudely interrupted us, over there in that Kerr Lake tournament, man, you had to go fast. That was the only thing that was going to trigger a bite. And I lucked into it just accidentally because I had gotten pissed off at the wind and decided to just use it to drift back to the car, and I started catching fish that day. And went out the following day and tested it and started at like a half a mile an hour. Wasn't catching anything. I bumped up my speed, started catching fish. Slowed back down, couldn't catch anything again. And so I was like, okay, this is definitely something they're keyed in on right now. It's a speed issue. And went out there the following day and won the tournament, doing exactly that, just going way faster than I would normally go. Oh, a little tug over there. But, that's one of them things you just kind of have to play with. And as a general rule, I don't know who come up with this originally, but it seems to have some merit to it. But you'll hear catfishermen say if you're dragging baits, take whatever your water temperature is and put a decimal in front of it. And that's the speed you should go. So if it's, here we are in July, I don't know what this thing's got all these numbers on the side of it here. I don't see it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, he hit it. He hit that bait. I thought he had it. But no, it's got all these numbers here on the graph. I don't see water temperature anywhere, but let's assume it's 80-something degrees. Is he getting it this time? You tell him to leave that bait alone if he ain't going to commit to it now. We don't need no another small fish down there chewing that thing up. We just put it out. He keeps following it. Now, I don't know what our water temperature is right now, but I would assume it's probably in the high 80s, as hot as it's been. But in theory, let's say it was 80 degrees. It's higher than that, but in theory, if it was, we would troll at 0.8. If your water temp was 50 degrees, you'd troll at 0.5, or 40 degrees, 0.4. That was kind of the theory that's passed around among catfishermen. Me personally, I typically, most days, I'm going to do a half a mile an hour. It's a good speed that's going to allow you to cover some water and get bit in most situations. There are obviously exceptions. That North Carolina tournament I fished being one of them, where just for whatever reason they weren't going to hit that slow a moving bait. They just weren't going to do it. But when you bumped it up in speed, they would tear it up. And there's going to be other times where it's the exact opposite, where if you're going too fast, they're not going to chase it. But if you're going slow and they've got time to see it and react or whatever, they'll hit it. So you need to tinker with speed a little bit, especially if you're fishing competitively for money in a tournament or whatever. But on a normal average day where we're just out fun fishing, I'm going to set that thing a half a mile an hour, give or take, and just try to cover water. And if we fish, say, 4 hours today, which probably be, we're going to fish 3 to 4 hours out here this morning until it gets miserable hot. But 3 to 4 hours at a half a mile an hour, you've covered 1.5 miles to 2 miles. And when you're working a stretch of a ledge, or in this case, top edge of a flat here, if we ain't found them in 1.5 miles to 2 miles here, we just ain't gonna find them on that particular day, as far as I'm concerned. But usually you're gonna run into something, and hopefully today it'll be a situation where we get on a pile of fish. That's what I'd like to do, get on a big school of them, and we can just pound them all the way down through here. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know, but in the summer months, oftentimes you get an active bite because of I think he may have it nope. They're just down there. Oh, he's on it again. I feel it in my hand. Look at him, he's hitting it. He's chewing that thing to shreds, folks. Actually, I think he's got it. I think it's probably another one about the size of that last one, though. But he's on there. We got another fish, y'all. He's gonna be as big as that chicken nugget we was using. This is gonna be an interesting thing, though. I'm gonna have to tinker with that and see if we can adjust the settings on that motor. I'm gonna have to watch another YouTube video, because I can tell you right now, if it's like this all the time, like if it's not, I gotta think about how to word this so I don't sound like a complete idiot and you understand what I'm saying. Let's land this fish here and I'm gonna try to figure out how to explain to you what I mean after he gets a sopping wet. That's all right, fish. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, it's already hotter than damn it out here, so you go ahead and splash us. You go ahead and do your thing. It don't feel bad today to get soaking wet. Go ahead, spin one more time if you want to. Well, the good news is that's two fish on the chicken, and neither have been gut hooked yet. I think that bigger hook is going to help our calls with that, preventing that. I've caught a bunch of big fish on them small hooks. I mean, you all that have been following my journey into this light tackle fishing over the last year, you've seen me catch some whoppers on tiny hooks. But that's with using cut bait. Running the chicken, it's just, for some reason, they just get it so deep, no matter what style or hook you're using. Let's grab it again. Did you all get wet on the camera? No, y'all never do. They always get me wet somehow. You know what, I'm gonna leave this chicken out here on the floor too. We'll leave this out a minute and see. Keep us from having to turn around getting a cooler all the time if we're gonna keep catching them this quickly. I want to try to explain to you what I mean with this graph here. I mean the motor compensating. So when you're following, in this case we're following the contour, but another feature I have used on my other kayak and motor setup is the course heading. So you push that button on my other motor guide motor, and whatever direction the motor's facing, it'll just go that way, right? And then you use your cruise control feature, which will help you set your speed, and the motor will drive at that speed in the direction that you're pointing it. Well, let's say you're moving along 1/2 mile an hour, and all of a sudden, a gust of wind hits you. It slows you down. Well, on that motor guide motor I have, it reacts very quickly. As soon as you're not at 0.5 anymore, it speeds up to get you back to that speed. Or if maybe the wind hits you from the back and it pushes you too fast, it will slow down the prop speed to try to get you back to 1/2 mile an hour. It responds very quickly. And in this situation, we've got our rods going off the side. So if a big fish hits, we got one hitting this right rod over here, but a big fish hits, it wants to spin the kayak around. Well, you want the motor to compensate pretty quickly and adjust for that, get you back to your speed and keep you going so that your other line doesn't get wrapped up and it keeps going. Because especially if you're going through a school of fish, you want to bring that other bait through too and maybe get another bite at the same speed of whatever you were traveling. Well, the motor guide I have on my Hobie Pro Angler is that, boy, they're on it, man. They just keep nipping at it. They're on that chicken. They ain't touching the shad. There he goes again after it. He's got it. We got another one. There, boy, that's 3 now on the chicken. We did get a bite there on the shad. We just didn't land him because the hook turned. that's 3 now. Oh, chicken nuggets catching chicken tender sized fish. This is gonna be another tiny one though. When they ain't bending that light tackle rod, you know they're super tiny because these things double in half. That's part of the fun of the light tackle is the big takedowns, but when they're this small, they ain't taking that. Hell, this fish here couldn't take down my ultralight rod, I don't think. He's a tiny little channel cat. Old channel. My favorite, as you all know. I do enjoy catching the big ones up at Sandusky, but these tiny ones like we have here in Tennessee, I could do without catching another one of them as long as I live. They're little bait stealers, what they are, and he stole that piece of chicken, which if you're going to steal a bait, at least steal the chicken. Chicken's easy to acquire. You just go to the store and buy you a pack of, this is just chicken breast from Walmart. The other baits, I have to actually go catch. I have to put in effort. So if they're going to steal one, I'd rather them steal this. Get that out of the way. Now let's cast this back out. But like I was saying, I want the motor to compensate quickly. That way you don't, because the worst case scenario is you get a big takedown, the fish starts pulling the kayak back, you end up getting your motor, the prop, wrapped up in your other line or something. So I want it compensating quickly, like I want it adjusting as soon as possible. And a few years ago, I had a Old Town Autopilot kayak. It had that Minn Kota power drive motor. And it dropped down in that center slot there, and it had all the GPS functions, course heading and cruise control and all that. And with it was always a huge problem when I would try dragging like we're doing here today, because it wouldn't compensate fast enough. I would get a gust of wind and it would completely slow me down and stop me or move me backwards before the motor would be like, oh, I need to speed up. And then it would speed up well beyond whatever speed I was going at and keep going at that speed for too long before it would slow down. And so when I was trying to fish on a day where the wind wasn't consistent, it was gusting and then stop and then gusting and then stop, it was impossible to do this technique because it just wouldn't compensate quickly enough. And so that's one of the things we got to figure out with this motor is it going to compensate quick enough, and is there a way to adjust it? And I can tell you on that second fish we caught, which wasn't a very big one, I didn't pay close enough attention to it, but it didn't seem like it was compensating very quickly. So I probably need to get on the YouTube, watch some more videos, or actually read the instruction manual and try to see if there's a way. There may be something in the settings that I can tinker with to make it more responsive, make it more sensitive or whatever. Because I want it, man, if we're moving at 0.5 and we drop to 0.3, I want that thing speeding up and compensating. Worst case scenario, we get spun around and that other line gets wrapped up in the prop. Now you've got problems. So that's one of them things we're going to have to figure out. Now, if it turns out we can't do that, is that a deal breaker? Well, no, it's not. We could always just drag with one rod. But given the option to do one or two, I would prefer to do two. I mean, that would be best case scenario. When I'm in my Hobie Lynx and trying to drag because of its paddleboard style hull, I mean, you all have seen, I get spun around instantly with any kind of resistance. So in that kayak, I can only drag with one rod. But in a more traditional kayak hull like this one is, it takes more effort to turn it. Like it don't get spun as easily. then I should be able to fish 2. So we'll see. Yeah, we're still learning. We're still experimenting here. This is just new gadgets, new products to me. Now, with that said, so what are my thoughts on this kayak so far? Is this kayak going to replace my Hobie Lynx? Will it replace my Hobie Pro Angler? I can tell you, first off, it's not going to replace my Hobie Lynx. That will still be my primary kayak. I love it. It's my favorite kayak I've ever fished out of. I wish it was more durable. I've put 4 holes in it now. It's been a challenge to keep it in good condition, but I do love fishing out of it. And this kayak is certainly way different. Oh, he hit it. Our chicken got hit again. Well, they just don't want to touch our shad. They're all over that chicken. It's that time of year. They're eating them mussels. He's still after it. Let me just... Well, he ain't on there. He just hit it. Hit it and quit it. Okay, now there goes our shad. There goes our shad. Oh, he let go too. I probably should reel that in. Let's give it a minute in case he comes back for it. I don't want to pull it away. If it's them small ones there like we just got, they can bite the end of the bait without getting the hook. Now he's got it. Now he's got it. Then he got the hook. Oh, our other rod too. Our other rod. One of you want to reel in that other one over there, go ahead. A fishing partner that would actually help me while we're fishing. What a concept. But like right now, the motor is spun back this way toward the resistance. It needs to go. Come on, get it. On delay. Arrivederci, come on, motor. Yeah, it's not compensating very quickly. We're gonna have to try to tinker with settings on that. That's gonna be a problem at some point when we hook into a monster, if we don't get that resolved. Come here, fish. You gonna flop around? All right, well, sit there and think about it then. Let's see if we got anything going on this rod still, or if y'all lost him. I think y'all lost him. You should have grabbed it. I think he got our bait. He did. He done stole our bait over there. Y'all sitting there watching me instead of grabbing another rod, and we had double on. And heck, boy, look at this. He's done. I don't even know how he's done that. We got that dang hook all not. Goodness great! How did you all do this to me? I was over there reeling in that fish, and you're like, let's play a joke on Justin. Let's tie his leader in a knot here. That'll show him. I know y'all's games. I've fished with you all before. I know how yins are. I think my first rodeo with you. Dadgummit. That motor though, but there's got to be a way to change the sensitivity. Surely to goodness. I mean, we can pick what contour we want to follow and push a button and it'll do it. And it seems to be following that contour line pretty tightly. Like it seems to be actually following it good. So there has to be a way to tinker with the settings on that thing. Has to be. Let's get that one out and then we'll land our other one over here. Got to be a way to tinker with them settings. Come here, fish. You know anything about Minn Kota Motors, fish? Can you help me out? This fish said he wouldn't lift a finger to help me after I've put a hook in his jaw. Another tiny one here. We own a dinks today, folks, but we're gonna take what the river gives us. That's all we can do is put our baits in a position to succeed, and if we get in front of a big one, maybe they'll take it. I'm gonna go ahead and toss this bait though. It's still got a little blood there, but all that's been knocked out, and in this hot water, I'm gonna try to keep things kind of fresh. We don't have any current flow out here today, but just us pulling along in this hot water, it's gonna bleed out these baits pretty quick. So, okay. Throw that out. All right, we're back. We're back with 2 baits in the water again. But yeah, I was saying, this kayak here is not going to be a replacement for my Hobie Lynx. It will still be my primary kayak. What this kayak probably will replace, though, will be my Hobie Pro Angler with the other motor. My Hobie Pro Angler, it's almost 10 years old. And, you know, it's at that age where it's still functional. Like, it's still fine, but it's a ticking time bomb. Kayaks don't last forever, folks. You know, it's just one of them things. There is a lifespan. And the Hobie Pro Angler's been good to me, but like up there on that Sandusky tournament recently, there was so many big waves there when the wind kicked up and it's coming over the bow, and all that water ends up inside the hull. Like, I've been in some dangerous situations with that thing. So I've been looking for a replacement for it for the last few years. I tried the autopilot kayak there a few years back. I liked the kayak okay. I didn't care for the motor, that Minn Kota power drive motor I didn't like that came with it. Tried the Bonafide XTR. I didn't like it. It was just too big and too bulky and heavy, and I didn't care for it. Nice kayak, but it just wasn't for me. And so now we're in this one. Oh, there goes our chicken. Oh, he let go. Did he steal our bait too? Yeah, I swear, if we got robbed, one of y'all are gonna call the cops. We're gonna get the law involved here if we've been stolen. We have. What? Hell, he stole our whole hook here, I think. He took the hook and everything here, y'all. Well, crap. One of you's call the law. I want you to call the law right now. We ain't fooling with this, man. I tell you what, let's do too. Let's, since this motor ain't compensating as quick as I would like, let's suspend a bait on this right rod. We'll drag one and suspend one, and then it won't matter if the motor don't compensate quickly enough, because we won't have another line for it to get wrapped up in. Let me get in my camera bag here. I tied up a couple Carolina rigs, suspend rigs, with the larger hooks for the chicken. And that seems to be the bait of the morning thus far. We're definitely getting more action on the chicken than we are the shad right now. We'll see if that changes throughout the morning, but we're definitely, even though we're not getting the quality of fish that we would like right now, we are getting action, and we're getting more of it. Oh, I got to get a sinker out of here too. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? We're getting more action certainly on the chicken, so I want to have that out, but let's suspend one. Where's my sinker bag? I got too much crap in here, y'all. Do I have? Where are they? Okay, I see them down there at the bottom. I don't know where the bag's at. I thought I did. There they are. Goodness gracious, folks. We got to do something with this camera bag. That'd be maybe today's project. We get home, clean that mess out. We got too much going on in there, and we can't find anything in a reasonable manner when we need it. If I could get you to bring your own tackle out here, we wouldn't have this problem, would we? Again, it's always your fault. It ain't never my fault. I've never made a mistake in my life. Every time I go fishing with you all, though, we have problems. Let's tie this thing on. Put us on a Carolina rig and just see what happens here. You all know me, I love suspend fishing anyway. You don't have to twist my arm to go suspend a bait. It's the best takedowns and most intense fights because you've got the shortest amount of line out when you're suspend fishing versus if you're dragging and you've got line out behind you, you've got further distance, or if you're anchor fishing, you've casted baits out in front of you or something, you've got a long distance of line out. But suspend fishing, if we're 30 feet deep here, we're going to be having baits about 28 feet deep, so we're only going to have 27, 28 feet of line out, and that just makes for a more intense fight, a better battle. Old chicken. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, as they say in Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. One of my favorite places. Got married there last year. Vacationed out there a few times. Always a good time in Vegas. Oh, our shad over here is getting hit now. Let's get this one set. Stick that in the rod holder. Now let's see. He had hit it a couple times. We start looking at that rod now, he ain't gonna touch it again. Never fail. The old watch pot don't boil or whatever saying. Just make sure he ain't got it and following along. No, he ain't there. But yeah, this kayak here has got potential to replace my Hobie Pro Angler. It's kind of my bigger kayak, my tournament rig, or days where you're in rougher water conditions. My Hobie Lynx, it's not particularly good on windy days. It's not good in kind of choppy water conditions. And I have fished a tournament, I fished a couple tournaments out of it, but it's not the ideal tournament platform. It's you know, the Lynx is much smaller, the weight capacity is less. You don't have sidewall. It's like a paddleboard style. So like here, let's say we're in a tournament and we land a big fish. We can put the fish here in the floor and not have to worry about him flopping out while we get our board and camera and all that ready to go to take the picture for a tournament. Whereas the Lynx, it's just a flat floor. So you're getting your phone ready to take the picture and the fish goes crazy. Well, it's easy for him to flop out. So not the ideal, even though I've done a couple tournaments in the Lynx, it's not the ideal platform. And so, one, I want options, right? Like I want something like a Lynx that's grab and go, lightweight, that I just enjoy fishing out of, that will be my primary kayak that I'm spending the bulk of the time in. But I also want something bigger for tournaments or rougher weather conditions or days when I need to carry more gear or cover more water with having access to the motor. Or maybe it's a situation where left rod. I still think he's after it. I think he may have it, folks. He does. We got one. On the shad, that shad body piece. It's gonna be another one that's gonna be not the size we're looking for today. I'm content catching these small fish, but I wanna bust something big too. But that feels like head shakes. It's either a, there goes our right rod got bumped. I swear that felt like head shakes though. It still feels like head shakes. Now he must just be spinning fast. I'm gonna set him back a second. Let's pick up on this. I think we've got one on our suspended chicken boat over here. Chicken bait, if I get my words out, I'm excited. I can't talk. Yeah, we do, we doubled up here. This one's a channel cat here, old angry old channel kitty. Tiny old thing. I'd call him an eater size, but hell, he's too small to eat. You wouldn't get no meat on this thing. I wouldn't eat nothing out of here anyway. It's contaminated water here where we're at today. We're down here below the site of the coal ash spill from years ago, and they allegedly got 90-something% of it up, but I wouldn't trust it. I've always felt like if the contamination's bad enough that the government's telling us about it by putting the warning signs up at the boat ramps and stuff, if it's bad enough for them to tell us anything, it's got to be pretty damn bad. So I wouldn't eat nothing out here, but that's just me. To each their own. You got to make your own choices in life and do your own thing. All right, now let's land this fella. Get us another shad back out there. Dragging one and suspending one right now. Come here, fish. Get you unhooked and send you on your day. He's got a lot to do today. He says he's got to go to the dentist. He's got to get his mouth fixed here where we've put a hole in it from this hook. And he's going to go get his oil changed in his car and maybe pick up some groceries on the way home. He's got a full day ahead of him, so you go get to it, fish. Go get your chores done. We'll see you next time. I didn't want to hold that fish up anymore. Like I said, he's got a busy day ahead of him. Well, let's grab another shad and we'll rotate. We'll go back to a head bait. We'll just do a head and a chunk, and keep it rolling like that. Work them in and out. But yeah, I was just saying, like, I want to have options that way. If I'm in a situation where weather's nice and conditions are good and I can use the Hobie links, great, we'll use it. If the weather ain't so good, or I'm fishing a tournament, or maybe I damage the links again and put another hole in it, drop it off the tailgate of my truck. That's how I damaged it the last time, put a hole in it. And then I've got another option ready to go. So I think this is probably going to replace my Hobie Pro Angler. I certainly like the Kayak Old Town. I mean, the kayaks are always... Oh. He's got it. Get it. Our chicken, bud. Our chicken's way outproducing the shad. Way outproducing it. Of course, when they're this size, hell, if we catch one whopper on the shad, it'll weigh more than all of these size fish combined. This right here, it would take a whole bunch of these to equal one whopper. He'll get big someday though, won't he? He promises he's going to grow up and be big and strong. He's going to follow Hulk Hogan's advice and train and say your prayers and eat your vitamins, as the Hulkster used to say back in the day. Words to live by, folks. Train, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins. If we all do that, the world is a better place, and we're better for it. But yeah, this Old Town, man, they've always put out good kayaks. The quality's good. You never hear issues of people having cracked holes or anything online with Old Town like you do with some other brands. And the layout of this kayak, I certainly like it. It's got all this floor space, which is important to me when I'm in a tournament. I need a place to put fish. I need a way to lay my measuring board out across the gunnels, and I've got plenty of space to do this. Mounting accessories is pretty easy. Right now I've got that 2x4. And I just took a 2x4, and of course I spray painted it, make it look a little better, but I cut it to size and drilled holes so I could run a bolt through the gear tracks and secure it down, and got the graph mounted there and another little rod holder base. In the event we catch a big fish today, we can put our front camera mount up and get a picture there. But I would ideally like to move the rod holders to that board too. And because right now I've got them on the gear tracks, and I don't like that. I don't like running rod holders. We can't avoid it in my Hobie Lynx. Like, there's no other way to mount because we can't drill into the hull on it. But with this kayak here, it has all these gear tracks. I mean, everywhere. Like, we can secure easily a bigger board up there. So what I'm thinking, like, that's a 2x4. If I get a piece of maybe like probably a 2x6 or even a 1x6, it don't matter. We just need a board going across there. It's a little wider that I can mount the rod holders to in such a way that they're not going to butt into the screen. So like right now, let's say we had a rod holder here on this base. Well, the butt end of my rod would be, I wouldn't be able to put it all the way in the rod holder because of the screen right there. It takes up too much space. So if I could put the rod holders kind of down in front of a little bit, then the rod butts could come out here, and that's not going to be a problem at all. So I just need a little bit wider board. I had a 2x4 there in my shed, just some scrap wood and stuff, so I went ahead and rigged this up very quickly. But now that I've gotten some seat time in this kayak, and I kind of know at this point what I want, I'll get another board here in the near future, and we'll cut it and spray paint it, of course. Got to make it look good cosmetically. It ain't about just catching fish, folks. You got to look good doing it. But yeah, we'll do that and put our rod holders up there, and that'll still leave all of this space here for our tournament measuring board and all of that. So there's plenty of floor space. It's not as much floor space in this as my Hobie Pro Angler, but there's plenty enough. And I think that front hatch, I haven't taken any water over the bow yet. I've not, has that rod got hit? He's got it, our Shad. Shad head goes down. We're catching them. But all the way down through here, buddy, in this first hour, buddy. I don't know how many we've got now, but several fish. Like, there's fish here. We're just gonna have to sort through some dinks to try to find a good one. This time of year, man, during the spawn, a lot of our big fish are on the nest, and it can be tough to find good quality, but it's not impossible. Every summer I bust them, so I don't know if it'll happen today, but we're gonna give it to college try, ain't we, fish? This fish here, he said he ain't going to college. They ain't gonna let him in when he acts like that. He'd be expelled immediately, flopping around like that. Can you imagine if he went in and some nerd is up there giving a lecture, and this fish just started flopping around in the floor, they'd cancel you, fish. They'd expel you on the spot. This fish don't believe me. He said he's gonna go to Harvard someday. I don't think he's gonna make it there, but best of luck, fish. I hope it works out for you. Put this Shad body piece on next. He tore our float up too, didn't he? Boy, he's about ripped all the way through the styrofoam there. It's still on there though. We'll roll with it for the time being. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if y'all would be agreeable to it, to switch over and suspend another bait on this side. I kind of wanted to drag today just to mix it up. Our last trip, well, the last couple trips I've suspended and had a hard time getting good quality. Now, not the last trip, but the one before, I did bust a big one. But we only got that one big one amongst 20, 30 dinks, however many we caught that day. And the last trip out, it was nothing but dinks, so I thought it might be a good idea to mix up the presentation and drag this morning, see how that goes, but so far it's not producing any better quality. Well, I'll tell you what I am impressed with, though, is this. That thing has followed that line all the way down through here. Like, it's been very tight to that line. Even when we've caught fish and got the kayak kind of spun a little bit, like it picks right back up and goes on that line. That part is very good. How quickly it compensates for speed, I'm not impressed with. But this part I am. So I am digging that. That'll be a helpful feature, especially in situations where we're doing like we are today, where we're literally wanting to follow a contour. When I can just set it and forget it and let it drive, just focus on fishing, that's pretty cool. Because again, normally we fish like this all the time, but I have to manually do it. Or even if I'm in my Hobie with the motor guide motor, like I can use the course heading feature, but every time there's a bend, like we have to change it on the remote, right? Like we have to adjust for that. But this is just going to follow that line from now until either the line ends or we quit. So that's a really cool feature. And there's probably some more stuff with that graph too that I'm either not aware of or don't know how to do. I'm not an electronics expert. I'm really not. I bought that live scope back, gosh, what was it, 2021 or 22, and played with it some, and I still use it. I got it on that portable box now, and I take it out for when I'm getting shad. I used it to net these shad here that we got today. But it's not something, I'm not an expert on it. You know, you wouldn't want me teaching you how to use live scope, that's for sure. I'm not any good with it. And I've never been somebody that's been super reliant on electronics. I'm more of a Buck Perry guy. And Buck Perry, oh, big paddlefish right there. I saw him come completely out of the water. I was looking that way. I don't know if that got on camera or not. He completely breached the surface. It's definitely a paddlefish. I saw his big nose. But I mean, I've always been a Buck Perry guy, and Buck was always like, control your depth, control your speed, and fish are going to get in the way. And Buck was very big on working the contours, man. And I mean, if you want to learn, you want to get an education on fishing, read the Buck Perry structure fishing books. They're hard read. I mean, they read like a damn textbook. Like, it can be tough to get through them. But if you can sit through it and absorb that knowledge, you will be a better fisherman because of it. And so because of that, you know, back in Buck's day, I can't remember when he wrote them books. It was before my time for sure. I mean, they're old books, like 60s or 70s. But back then, he didn't have all this newfangled technology. So he created a lure. He called it the spoon plug. It was a metal, basically a combination of a spoon and a crankbait. And he would build them himself. And it was kind of a way for him to map the bottom of the lake or river that he was fishing to be able to find the contours. And he would work the break lines and caught a bunch of fish. I mean, he was way ahead of his time. He's the godfather of structure fishing. Like, he was so far ahead. I mean, imagine Buck Perry coming up today where you don't have to waste any time mapping a lake or river because it's already been done and it's right on your screen and you know how deep you are at all times and all that. Like, you take somebody with Buck's knowledge and give him these kind of modern day tools, holy cow, the fish he would have caught. It would be incredible. But because he didn't have all this newfangled technology back then, he had to develop a system of catching fish. And he was a bass fisherman, of course, but his teachings, they apply across the board to all species of fish. And the biggest thing with catfish, big difference is just your speed. Like buck would troll fast for the bass. For catfish, you got to slow it down, but the concept is still the same. You're going to work those break lines. And that's where fish are going to follow, and that's what they're going to relate to. In a world where everything's the same down there, what's different? Well, it's your edges, it's your break lines. Out here in the middle of the river channel, when it drops down, it's going to be mostly flat. So unless there's a sunken tree or object or something out there to hold fish, it all looks the same. But you get over here on these ledges, and it's something for fish to relate to. It's something for them to follow along, a path or whatever. So, but anyway, because of all that, I don't really have a great reliance on electronics. I need a basic graph. I need to know my depth. I need to know my speed. And having a, fish on the suspended rod. What we got here, I bet you it's I'm going to go with a blue. It could be a channel. It's a blue, tiny. Another tiny, tiny fish. We may not need the net today at the pace we're on. I could have left that thing in the truck, fish. Even with this lighter line, we ain't got to net you. We got 15-pound fluoro on these leaders, on these suspend leaders here. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. But for me, with electronics, like what do I need? Well, I need depth, I need speed, and the map card is super helpful. So like on my Hobie Lynx, I've got that little cheapo Lowrance graph that I bought last summer there during the Bass Pro sale. I think it was $200 or $300. It's $200 or $300. I can't remember. But like it works fine. Oh, we got this rod. Hold on, y'all grab that rod over there, would you? I want to lower this one down. Be a fishing partner worth of crap and grab that rod. I want to get this and reset though. We got this one going down and y'all don't give a crap about it, man. You just letting that rod go down. That fish will pull and pull till kingdom come and you ain't going to lift a finger to help. Come on up here, fish. Up here on this foggy day. We got the fog lifting, hopefully going to help keep it tolerable longer before it gets miserable hot out here. Oh, that rod's going down too. We just lowered it. We'll work on the one in the hand. Thanks for not knocking that float off, fish. The old foggy day, buddy. We had some rain yesterday evening. It's got a little fog on the river today. Gonna help us out if it'll stay out here. Oh, this one come off. Did he steal our bait? He did. That bait we just put down there, he done stole it. Boy, if one of y'all actually called the law when they get here, we got multiple reports to fill out. We've been robbed numerous times today. You catfish are little hoodlums down there. You embarrassing your family and everybody acting this way, stealing baits. This one here, he wants to steal that hook apparently. He ain't wanting to give it back. There we go. All right, go on with yourself, fish. Go think about what you've done today, and you might want to consider making some changes before you end up in the pokey. That fish stays on that path that he's on, buddy, he's going to end up in a jail cell. Some of these kids, though, today, they just got to learn the lessons the hard way. Put us another shad head on this one. We'll get a bite of chicken on the other one. And we're going to get back to it. Good enough. Well, this one here. These 7/0 size circle hooks, they're still a thinner wire. They're not as thin a wire as them shiner hooks, but they are Definitely thinner than the hooks I normally use on my heavier tackle. So this light tackle gear, I like a thinner wire hook. But yeah, back to the electronics conversation. Like, man, I've just learned to fish without having the fanciest of electronics. I mean, I've got a bunch of videos on my channel with no electronics at all. Like, I can function without it. But better the tools, easier it is to do a job. And if I can get this thing to drive our motor for us and all that, then, and we've got access to it. I mean, literally plugging that cord in is all it took. Then why not? We got a fish up here in front of us. That's bass. I think that's a little spotted bass. He's still alive and kicking. I bet one of them bass fishermen we saw caught him, and we can't use him for bait though. Let me see if I can get hold of him here. Oh, I couldn't get him. Go, grab your net over here. We'll actually use this net for something. Let's net this bass and see if it's a situation where maybe he got caught deep and can't go back down because he's Arab swim bladder or whatever got brought up too quick. Maybe we can torpedo him and get him. No, that didn't work. Sometimes if you can torpedo a fish that's been brought up too quickly and get them back down deeper in the water, they'll be able to swim back down. But I don't know if that's what happened with this fish. We just seen him floating here, and that's oftentimes a sign that they're a little bloated. No, he ain't gonna go back down. There's something else wrong with him. We tried. Can't keep him though and use him for bait, so it's a shame when that happens, but it does happen on like catfish, especially if you're fishing deep and you don't let them decompress on the way up. You want to see them bubbles coming up when you're fishing deep water. Bring them up slow, but if you don't, they won't be able to go back down. And so you have to decompress the swim. There's a lot of times people take a PVC pipe shoved down in their mouth there and release that pressure. But if you don't release that pressure, then they won't be able to go back down. So I don't know if that's what happened with that bass or not. But you know, back to the electronics though, man. I just don't need that kind of thing, but it's nice to have. You know, in this situation, again, Old Town provided me this, so I'm going to use it. And, oh, we got to, look at this. We're going to have to make a change here. This contour we were following is about to loop us around here. We need to follow, well, let's back up where we started. We've covered some water down through here today, ain't we? Can I touch that line? Okay. Now let's touch that. Now maybe we need to cancel navigation. Okay. Now let's hit it. Follow. Contour. Purple. Okay. Now did it change our speed when we done that? No, the speed stayed the same. Okay. All right. Easy peasy. Yeah, we were following that other line apparently, and it was working initially on the top edge over here, but then it was going to loop us back around, it looked like. So we're just going to follow that next line along this edge of this flat. But yeah, folks, you've heard me go on and on about this. Like, I'm very on the fence about it. Part of me feels compelled every time some new technology comes out, like they just come out with them new live scope transducers. Part of me feels compelled to get the latest and greatest technology because, I mean, I am doing this as a business, right? And I need to have access to the best tools. But then there's also part of me that's like, I just want to keep things simple. And my most enjoyable fishing trips are oftentimes the simplest ones. I mean, some of my most memorable days are days when I don't even have electronics at all. Like some of the days where I've just went out, anchored down in a creek mouth and dumbbell for an anchor, 2 rod holders, and catch a monster or something. Like those are memorable trips. So part of me wants to just keep it super simple, minimal setup. But then there's that other part of me it's like the old cartoon thing where you've got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and they're both whispering different things in your ear. It's like that. So I ultimately, I want both. I want both. I want a simple setup, and I want a very advanced setup. And this is certainly advanced, at least to me. Now, I could also get the, whatever Hummingbird's forward-facing sonar is called. Is it Mega Live or something like that, I'm wanting to say. But it's compatible with this unit. So if I bought the transducer, then I could plug it into that and we could have live scope technology on this screen here. And the nice thing about the Humminbird, their latest transducer, it's kind of like the new live scope on Garmin's transducer that's coming out. It doesn't require a processing unit. Like the Garmin live scope that I currently have, I've got on that portable box, it has what's called a black box, and it's a processor. So you've got your screen, a bunch of wires that goes to the processing unit. Then you've got your transducer that goes from the processing unit to that. And both the screen and the black box both require a battery to operate. So you've got to run another cord to the battery for each of them. The newest live scope transducer that's coming out will not require that black box. So you can just plug it directly into your screen. That saves on weight and hassle, and it's one less thing to tear up. Whatever Hummingbird's technology is called, I think it's Mega Live, but I could be wrong. It's the same thing. It plugs directly into the screen, no extra box or processing unit required. So we could buy one of those transducers and put on here, but really I like having my other setup, which is portable. And since I'm just using the live scope at this point to get shad or occasionally go crappie fishing, I don't really know that I need the latest and greatest on that. It's not that big a deal. This right here, though, linking the motor to the graph. Oh, this is the bigger deal right here, though, is reeling in a fish. That's what we're out here to do. On a dragon rig. This one feels more like a catfish. That one fish, man, I would have swore it was head shakes. Like, I mean, it was just him rolling, but it felt like head shakes. I was like, man, we might have a drum or a bass or something on. But this one here, I'm confident it's a cat. He ain't gonna fool me like his friend done. These catfish, they'll try to fool you, you know. They're deceitful like that. Another eater. This one's at least a little bit big. You could get a sandwich out of this one at least. Now you'd get the cancer if you ate him, but still, you could at least get some meat off this one. A little bigger anyway. Ain't it something though, man? We're using these small hooks with the shad, cut bait, like we don't have any problems. But we use them small hooks, same hooks, with the chicken, and we were gut hooking fish left and right. It's weird, man. It has to be a way. It has to be something with how them fish are eating the chicken. And the only way I can rationalize it in my mind is to just, if they come up on a shad, even if it's a piece of cut bait here, they don't necessarily know when they come up on it that it ain't alive. Their senses let them know it's a shad that's injured from the blood and oils and stuff coming off of it. So they attack it. They bite it, try to kill it to keep it from getting away. The chicken, which is representing a piece of meat and a shell from a mussel, there's no flight risk. There's no risk whatsoever of it getting away, so they just come up and inhale it. They don't have to necessarily kill it before they eat it. That could be the dumbest thing you've ever heard, and I'm open to that. But that's the only way I can rationalize it in my mind. Yeah, I'm just gonna kick my feet up and relax here, folks. Since that motor's gonna drive for us, I don't really have to watch that screen much. I feel pretty confident it's gonna follow that line pretty accurately. I just got to figure out how to change the setting, if it's possible even, to make that thing more responsive when we get slowed down. But beyond that, I'm pretty impressed with it. I think this setup will replace my Hobie Pro Angler. I don't think we're going to have issues with water getting in that hatch like we do on the Hobie Pro Angler. I haven't taken any water over the bow yet to find out, but the big difference with this kayak versus that Hobie is this one's made for the motor. Old Town designed this to put a bow mount on it. So it's going to set up a little higher. The plastic up there is thicker to compensate for the weight and the thrust of the motor. Whereas my Hobie, yes, people have put bow mounts on it. They make adapter plates now. Well, third-party companies do. But when the kayak was designed, it was designed to just be pedaled. It wasn't designed to have 40 pounds of weight sitting on the very tip of it. And so the kayak, it don't set right. And so when water comes over the bow, it doesn't drain around that hatch like it should. Whereas this one, being designed for the weight, water comes in, it should go right around the channel along the edge, and that lip inside that front hatch there, like it's raised up too. But water should drain right around the edge of it and down either in the floor here, out a scupper hole, or down the transducer scupper hole. So I think it's going to work out better for us than my Hobie Pro Angler. Time will tell. We'll get some more trips on this thing. I'm going to fish out of this one. I'm going to do an ultralight trip soon. I'll bust out the links for it. But we're going to do some more catfishing trips in this one until I get my next kayak. I've got another company, a new company starting up called Ventral. They are releasing a inflatable kayak. I've showed pictures of it on this channel here before, but it's an inflatable with a paddleboard style hull, shaped hull anyway, kind of like the Lynx. But instead of pedals, it's got a little drop-in motor. And they've reached out and are wanting to send me one here, so I should have it hopefully by end of July, early August at the latest. And once we get it, we'll try it out. I'm very fascinated with the inflatable technology. Man, it's so lightweight. If it's not just junk that's going to puncture, I think it's got a lot of potential. Now, the motor is also the wild card with this Ventral company. Being brand new company, like what kind of quality are you going to get out of the hull material and also the motor? Like, is it going to last? Is it going to be good quality? Like, how fast is it going to be? I don't know the answers to any of this stuff. We're just going to have to, get it and try it out and whatnot. But I'm excited to try it. So we'll use this kayak here until we get the next one, and then we'll switch over and try it for a little while, and we'll work the Lynx back in occasionally in the meantime, like on ultralight trips and stuff. But going forward, though, I anticipate the Lynx being my primary kayak and this being my tournament rig and backup kayak, if you will. Now, if this Ventral kayak works out, it has potential to replace the Lynx, with it being the same style of hull, being even lighter weight. if it's not garbage, it has potential to be a replacement. We'll see. You know, that's one of them things. We'll see. This kayak here was kind of a surprise to me. I've told that story when the marketing person reached out. He wouldn't tell me anything on the phone. This was a top secret kayak coming out, and he just said, "Man, the only thing I can tell you is it's lightweight and different than anything we've ever done before." Well, I get this kayak, and it's not lightweight. It's 90-something pounds, and they come out with this model last year in the pedal drive version. So I'm like, well, it's kind of the same thing. Did I get the right kayak? So I reached back out, and he explained what he meant, that it was lighter weight than their pedal drive version because you don't have the pedals. And it's different in the fact that you can mount a stern mount motor without an adapter plate. And before, to mount a stern mount, like a Torpedo or a Newport Vessels motor on an Old Town, you would have to buy either buy an adapter plate or it would have to be offset. And so with this, you can put it directly right off the back with no extra adapter plate or whatever. So that's pretty cool. But it wasn't what I expected. And I don't think it was what a lot of people expected, because the public comments I was reading on the Facebook and YouTube and stuff, the reception of this kayak didn't seem to be striking a chord with people. I think their marketing team, how they went about it, kind of teasing like something big's coming, and it turned out to be this. While this is certainly a big improvement over the original Sportsman 120 model. I mean, it's thicker plastic up there. You've got the built-in inserts for mounting the motors. The hatch is bigger. You've got more floor space. The rear tank well is bigger. You've got aluminum gear track, not the plastic, and there's more of it. Like, there's a lot of improvements on this kayak versus their original 120. But the way they went about marketing it, it gave people an idea that it was going to be something different than what it turned out to be. And I think that's where some of that negativity came from on there. Oh, well, this contour line's going to loop us back around too. So let's do this again here. How did we do it? We had to cancel the navigation. Okay. Now push that button again. If nothing else, we're getting a lot of practice pushing buttons on this thing. All right. We're going to have to do it again here in a second. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do it right now. That way we don't have to do it again. Okay. Let's cancel that navigation. And let's do that again. Okay. Now that should last a little while. But yeah, regardless of what the public perception was on this thing, again, you're never going to please everybody. Everybody has something that would be ideal for them and their needs, right? Like the perfect kayak for them. And then when they don't get that, they going to lash out online. So you're always going to have some negative pushback, negative reception. But I don't think Old Town done themselves any favors with their teaser videos, like something really new and innovative was coming. And what they've done here was new and innovative, but it was new and innovative last year when they upgraded the pedal version. This, you could make an argument they should have just released it or come out with this when they done the pedal drive version last year. It ain't none of my business. I don't operate their marketing department or anything, but I feel fortunate anyway to be able to work with them on this. It's a nice kayak. Checks all the boxes for me as far as like a bigger, wider, heavier platform for a tournament rig type deal. As this rod over here is getting pecked. You know, me personally though, like, I like fishing out of smaller kayaks these days. I need some stability. I need to be able to stand up and pee when the urge hits. I need to be able to stand up and throw a cast net. That's all the stability I need though. This thing here, man, I couldn't physically do a cartwheel because I'm not that coordinated, but if I could do a cartwheel on this thing. I could stand on my head if I had the ability to do so. Like this thing here, it's rock solid, man. It's like standing in your living room when you stand up in this thing. Now, personally, as somebody who enjoys kayak fishing, I think that kind of takes away from the kayak fishing experience a little bit. But most people want maximum stability. Anytime I meet somebody and they want to talk about kayak fishing, they're interested in getting a kayak or they've been looking at them online, whatever, they always want to know the same thing. How stable is it? Everybody, when they're first getting into kayak fishing, they're always so fearful of rolling or flipping it. And look, back 20, 30 years ago, if you got a kayak, the kayaks on the market back then were easily flippable, easily rollable. But nowadays, these big fishing kayaks like this, is it possible to flip it? Yeah. Is it easy to flip it? No. I mean, you got to work to flip this thing. For me to flip this kayak, as stable as it is, I would have to like hold on to the side and put all of my weight over to get it to roll. But I would have to be hanging on, because if I just tried to lean over to get it to flip, I would fall out. Like my body weight, I would get to a point I would be so far over, my body weight would send me tumbling out before we actually flip the thing. So, I mean, what was that? Rod got hit again. This day and time, man, these kayaks are just so big and so stable. The fear of flipping or rolling, it's I don't want to say it's an unjustified fear or an irrational fear, because, I mean, it is certainly possible to do so. More so than a boat, for sure. But at the same time, too, man, I don't think stability should be the primary concern for a new person getting into kayak fishing. Like it's a concern, but it shouldn't be the concern. Because even if you get a smaller kayak or a less stable kayak, you're going to adapt to it pretty quickly. Like, it may be a little uneasy when you first get in it, but by the time you spend a few hours in it, or especially after you spend a few trips in the kayak, like, you're just going to adapt. Like, your body is going to know what you can and can't do. Like, okay, I can't lean this far. I'm landing a big fish. I need to keep my head in the center, keep my body weight in the center. Like, you're going to know, and it's going to become natural to you. And even if it don't feel stable right away, by the time you get a couple trips in it, like, it's going to feel more stable than it did in the beginning. So I would rather sacrifice some stability for some extra speed. Because you can't have it all, folks. I mean, anything you do that gives you more of one thing has to take away from something else. So if you make a kayak that is bigger and heavier and wider and more stable, well, then you have to reduce your speed, because that heavier weight, that wider platform, it's going to take more effort to move through the water than something that's smaller and lighter and more narrow. So I would rather get the speed. For me, that's more important. And of course, this kayak here, I mean, you put a motor on it, you're going to get some speed. But from what I've seen so far, I mean, just fishing flat conditions, calm water, no current, it's about 4.2. 4.3 miles an hour top speed with this Minn Kota Tarova, which is a 55-pound thrust. So it's a little bit slower than my Hobie Pro Angler with the 55-pound thrust motor guide. I can get about 4.5, 4.7 out of it. So about a half a mile an hour difference roughly. It's really comes down to but I mean, the Hobie Pro Angler's actually, too, it's heavier than this by about 40 pounds. But the front of the hull, this one, it's wider and more flared. Like it's already wide and then flares wider. Whereas the Hobie Pro Angler nose, it's more narrow and stays narrow for a while before it flares out. So it kind of slices through the water, whereas this is going to kind of plow through the water. And I think that's where you lose that extra half a mile an hour at. Now, is that a deal breaker, that half a mile an hour? No, certainly not. I mean, you're going to be able to motor at 4.2, and that's faster than what you can pedal if you had the pedal drive version of this. So you're getting some speed, extra speed with the motor setup, certainly, but it's, when you look at the size of the motor that you need to get those speeds, like just as an example, so I put that little Texas Power Paddle motor on my Hobie Lynx. It's on the rudder of the Lynx, right? And the Hobie Lynx is lightweight. The whole weight's 47 pounds. You add the seat and the pedals, that brings it up to 65 pounds. This kayak here, it's 90 something pounds before you add the seat to it or any gear like the motor, graphs, batteries, etc. So that Lynx being so lightweight, and then the paddleboard style hull, there's no real resistance in the water. It just kind of glides through the water. You can get faster speeds with a lesser powered motor. So that Texas Power Paddle motor, it's only 15-pound thrust. And when I say, I mean 15, 1.5, not like 50, 5.0, like it's 15. It's a very light motor. Very, very small, not very powerful. But it'll move that Lynx at like 3.5 miles an hour, which granted is less speed than this setup, but way less motor too. If we had a 55-pound thrust on that Hobie Lynx, which I don't know how you would mount it because you can't drill into the hull of the Lynx. But if we had 55 pounds of thrust on that Lynx, hell, we'd be probably somewhere between 6 and 7 miles an hour. So apples to apples, your lighter weight, smaller kayak that doesn't have as much water resistance with the hull design is going to get you more speed per pound of thrust on the motor than your larger, heavier, wider kayaks like this. But the industry, man, this is where it's gone. This is what people want. They want bigger, heavier, wider kayaks. This is what sells. And so this is where companies are moving into. This is the space they're getting into because that's what the demand says is wanted. I keep hoping at some point in time, the pendulum has swung so far to the direction of bigger and heavier. I hope it swings back at some point to give people like me who likes fishing out of smaller, lighter weight kayaks, give us more options. But right now, there's not a ton of options out there for us. It's these bigger, heavier kayaks, and that's what the industry calls for. I mean, I can't fault them for that. They are in business to make money, to make products that are going to sell. And the people who are buying the most kayaks are wanting this kind of setup. So I can't fault the companies for following the demand of their customers. Hell, I run into the same thing on this YouTube channel, right? We're doing a long, unedited video today. Why? Well, that's what the demand is for. These videos perform better on my channel than the shorter edited videos. So you couple that in with the fact that I don't have to spend a bunch of time behind a computer with this like I do the edited versions. And I'm like, well, sure, let's just do these videos all the time. They get more views and they're less work for me. Great, everybody wins. But there are people out there that either enjoy or used to enjoy my channel that like the shorter stuff, that don't like the longer stuff. And those people, those customers, if you will, they're not being catered to. Kind of like the kayak industry isn't catering to people like me that wants more options in the lighter, smaller type hulls. So, it's just how it goes, man. That's the world we live in. That's how business works. But I do think at some point the pendulum will change, or the pendulum will swing back, and the industry will change, and we will get some lighter weight options, and the same thing will happen with YouTube. I mean, nothing stays the same forever. Eventually, people will grow tired of this video format from me, and it will fizzle out and dry up, and I'll be forced to do something different, or just retire and quit. And both it's 50-50 what's going to happen. Depends on when this channel dies off next, I guess. Will determine how we roll with it going forward. I just want to check this. It's been a while since we've gotten a bite. Well, part of our chicken's gone. Let's put a fresh piece on this, and then let's reel in our piece of shad and see if it's still on there and what it looks like, and then we'll just spruce everything up here. Let's just freshen everything up. This hot water, man, when we've got plenty of bait, I want to keep things fresher in this hot water. In the wintertime, it don't really matter. Water's cold, baits aren't bleeding out all that much. Not as big a deal. But in the hot summer months, you gotta, if you're trolling like we are today, or if you're fishing in current and the current's washing your scent out, you gotta keep them a little fresher if you can. Sometimes it's not possible if you don't have much bait. You just gotta work with what you got and try to make things last. But for us today, we got plenty of shad. What's going on here? Do we have a fish on this thing? Or have we picked up a stick or something? I'm reeling this thing in. There's a lot of resistance. That's a fish. We had a fish on. I didn't even know. He's so dang small. We were towing him along and didn't even know it, even on this light tackle gear. Boy, you know you've got a small fish when the light tackle rod don't even let you know you got one on. Come on in, buddy. You the reason why we can't catch fish, because we've already had a fish on. Tiny old thing. You ain't even fun on the light tackle. That's how small you are. Danged old fish. All right, let's bust another shad out. I'm going to get one of the... Let's see this one here. I think this might be a little better quality. A little better quality shad anyway. Go back to a headpiece. I hope we run into something bigger down through here. I can't guarantee it, man. That's fishing, and that's part of these trips like this too, where you're seeing everything. No edits, no cuts, nothing like that. We're not combining trips, or this ain't a highlight reel. Nothing like that. This is a real fishing trip you're on today, and we just have to roll. We got to take what the river gives us. I say it so many times, but that's what we got to do. If we're catching big fish, great. If we're catching small fish, great. Sometimes you don't catch no fish. Whatever happens, happens on these unedited videos, folks. It's you just come along the real trip. As long as we catch fish, these videos get posted. I ain't gonna subject you to 3 or 4 hours of me getting skunked. But there are days where I've went out and you give it the college try, you do the best you can, and you get 1 or 2 fish. And if they're big fish, I'll go ahead and post it. But sometimes, man, it's just every day's different. Every day's a puzzle. You got to try to solve and figure out and get what you can get. And today we're getting some action. There's definitely some activity going on down through here, but it's been poor quality. And I think it's just mainly a lot of our fish are they're still spawning. A lot of our big fish, they're on the nest. It gets hard. It's easy to catch fish in the summertime, but it can be very difficult to get good quality fish, and it really comes down to time on the water. The more time I can spend, the more likely I am to bust that big fish. And you just got to sort through the smalls. But the lighter tackle, I mean, granted, that last fish, he might have been fun on an ultralight, but that's the only way we were going to enjoy him, and we've already got one after that head bait there. Something was hitting it. We ain't had that thing out a minute. Something's already on it. But it ain't acting like a big one. That last one was so small, though, we didn't even know he was on, even with the light tackle. Yeah, he ain't on there. I wanted to go ahead and check it just to see, but summertime, usually, the trick for me, the name of the game is covering water in the summertime. If I've got current flow, I like to drift. If I don't, I like to troll. And today out here, we don't have any current flow. We got a little rain yesterday evening. I'm thankful for it too. It's humid as all get out, but at least we've had this fog this morning that's been lifting, and some cloud cover here, and it's keeping things somewhat tolerable in temperature-wise. But we haven't had enough rain lately to get them to generate 24/7 at the dams. Right now, and it happens every summer, unless it's just an unusually wet year, and this year's been unusually dry for the most part. But what happens is they will turn the generators completely off at night, usually at either 10 p.m. or midnight. They'll cut the generators completely off. And then they won't turn them back on again until mid to late morning. Well, when you're fishing a long ways from the dam like we are today, I mean, we're 20 plus miles away from the dam probably. So if they turn the generators on, say it's, the clock right there says it's 8:39 right now. Let's say they turn the generators on right now. Well, by the time the current gets to us, we're done back at the house. Our trip's over at that point because it's going to take so long. And usually when they turn on generators, they'll turn on one. And then they'll ramp up the flow and turn on more generators throughout the day as the energy demands go up. Because afternoon hours, when it's hot like this, people are going to crank up the AC in the afternoons. Businesses are open during the day and stuff. At night, in the early morning hours, there just isn't the energy demands. So even if they started running an adequate amount of flow right now, it's still, we're so far away, it's not going to get to us before our trip is probably over today. So in the summer months, I have to do a lot of trolling because if I'm fishing the morning hours, which I typically like to do, if you want to cover water, you got to get out and troll. You can't rely on current. Now, I think I would prefer to have current. I would prefer to drift, and I like having current anyway. I think we got a snag here. First snag of the day. Let's see if we can, there we go, popped it free. But I would rather have current flow. Drifting is certainly preferred over trolling. And, oh, now our right rod. Oh, okay. He could at least big enough to pull a little drag. We ain't heard much of that drag pulling today, have we? Yeah, okay. He's mad at it. He still ain't gonna be very big, but he's at least big enough to get a little line pulling. All right. Oh God, he's not big either. Oh, I see what happened. I see, he's foul hooked. That's why. That's why he pulled a little harder, because he's a small fish. He's definitely not as big as what I would have. I knew he wasn't going to be super big, but he's smaller than I thought. But he's hooked. He didn't get hooked in the mouth. He got hooked up under himself here in the gill plate. That's probably why he pulled like he did. You want a fish to fight hard or foul hook them. That'll get you a harder pulling fish, a harder fight every time. Oh, quit. Quit flopping, quit biting, you old thing. Channel cat's always so dang ornery. Every channel cat I've ever met's been a jerk. Let's cut us another piece of chicken. A little chicken nugget. Chicken's getting it done today. I don't like using chicken, but we're using it today. And it's working out, at least on numbers. Back down it goes. But yeah, current flow makes life easier as a catfisherman, because part of what we're doing is trying to disperse our scent, right? If we're using cut bait, we are trying to allow these fish to find our baits and come lock in on. If we're using live baits and they're struggling on a hook, they're sending out a vibration through the water, they're doing the work for us. But with cut bait, there's no vibration, there's no distress signal going out. Like, for fish to find our bait, they need to lock in on that scent. Well, if you've got some current flow, dispersing it for you makes it easier. So I would rather fish with current, but as the old poker saying goes, you got to play the hand you're dealt. And we ain't getting dealt aces all the time. Especially if you fish in summertime morning hours, you just ain't going to have flow. Or if you want to fish in the middle of the night, if you're that type of person, you ain't going to have flow out here, not this time of year. The only time you're going to get flow is mid-afternoon to early evening hours. And personally, I'd rather just not go fishing than fish those hours, because I don't want to fish in the blazing hot sun. And in the afternoon and evenings, that's when you got the most pleasure boat traffic this time of year. All the bass tournaments and stuff are going on. So I don't like fishing those hours if I've got the choice, which thankfully I do have the choice. I would prefer to just come out early mornings during the weekdays and do my thing. And so I've had to learn how to adapt to those conditions. I've had to learn how to catch fish without current. And it's doable. I mean, it's possible. I've caught a bunch of big fish without current. I'm about to catch a snag here from the looks of things. There it come out of it. We're going through something over there. There's a pontoon boat over there, the other side of the channel. I'm wondering if they ain't catfishing. Oftentimes this time of year, I am fishing deep. Like deep ledges. We would be, in a lot of my trips, you would see me fishing the bottom edge of this ledge. So, we're up here on this flat, which is getting more narrow as we go down through here, by the way. You can see on the screen how it's cut well. I guess we're going to see a snag first, and then I'll show you. Hopefully we come out of this. There we go. You can see this flat, it's getting more narrow as we go down through here, but then you've got the ledge that drops off over here to our left. Well, oftentimes I would fish, this time of year, I would like to fish this bottom edge of the ledge out in the deeper, which over here in this section of the river, you're looking about 50 feet deep. But I think we got a little bit of a thermocline situation going on. And part of it's me not really understanding what I'm seeing on the graph. I haven't used this graph enough to know really what a thermocline looks like on the Humminbird, but it certainly looks like we've got, and when you get out into the deeper water, it looks like you've got a thermocline setting up out there. And we don't normally get a thermocline. We normally have enough current flow to prevent that from happening. But this year we haven't had as much current flow. They're not generating as much at the dams. Even during the peak hours, they're not running as much because we just haven't had the rain. We went the first part of the year, we were technically in a drought. Like we just wasn't getting any rain. And then we went through like 2 weeks where it wouldn't stop raining. Like it was just nonstop rain. Just like we got a nonstop snag. What are we pulling through here? Come out of it. Just keeps getting caught on something over there. But we went like 2 weeks, it just would not stop raining at all. And then now it's back to barely, when we do get a little rain, it's just barely raining. Like last night, it was enough to wet the ground and make everything even more humid today, but it wasn't any significant rainfall. Like you weren't going to get any runoff from it that was going to be making its way down to the creeks and rivers. So we're just not getting the flow, and I think a thermocline is setting up. And if that's the case, then those fish are going to be most likely above that thermocline. And we would get fish, look, we would get fish regardless. This time of year up on these flats, like there's always going to be some fish on the flats feeding. This is one of those things that you can, and it really ain't even confined to summer. I mean, especially in the warmer months, you're going to get fish roaming around on these flats, chasing schools of baits and stuff. But I mean, you could really do this any time of the year. This is an effective technique. But if we have a thermocline setting up at the deeper depths, then the bigger fish will be forced above it. So they'll either be suspended above that thermocline, or they'll be on shallower structure like this. It's a deeper flat, but still it would be above the thermocline here, so they could be up here on it. Maybe relating, they might be suspended instead of being on bottom, like out over that bottom edge of the ledge over here, for instance. They might be suspended higher in the water column, still relating to it potentially, or out further off this ledge, but at the same depth as the top edge here potentially. Like you'll see that sometimes with fish too. They'll be relating to it without being on it. But, I mean, if it is a thermocline situation, then those fish will be forced up shallower than what I would normally be getting them at this time of year. Because normally in the summer months, I'm fishing deep. I'm fishing deepest ledges of the river, but when I've tried that recently, I haven't done any good. And then what I've been seeing on the graph lately, it just leads me to believe it's a thermocline. I'm not familiar enough with this graph to know what a thermocline really looks like on it for sure, to be able to say with 100% certainty, but it certainly appears that way. So, we're going to keep doing what's getting us bit. And lately, this right here, working these flats, every one I've been to, we've been catching fish. Not to quality, but we're catching fish, and it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You log enough hours, you're gonna bust a monster. It's gonna happen. Bait is also part of it too. I've been using the shad, which shad for me, I love it in the winter. When it's cold, when the water's in the 40s, low 50s, man, like shad it's a premium bait. When you get into the warmer months, I really prefer skipjack. You get into these hot summer months, white bass becomes a pretty good bait. And I may tomorrow, I'm thinking I'm going to bust out the links and do some ultralight fishing tomorrow. I may take a couple trolling rigs with me too and try to catch some white bass. But the skipjack has been so bad the last couple years here in my area. I've just not wasted the time going after them lately. I've heard reports that there have been some at the dam lately. In the evenings, at least right before sunset, they're coming up and hitting and stuff. But I've done so poorly at skipjack fishing the last couple years. I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to waste time with this anymore. It's not worthwhile. I'm spending so much time catching or attempting to catch skipjack, and oftentimes not getting any, that it's better for me to just take what I can get. With shad, I mean, you can always get some shad somewhere. And this time of year, these backwaters, they're loaded with shad. And with the live scope, it certainly doesn't take very long to get them. So I'm just like, I'm going to roll with what I can get quickly, which will allow me more time on the water for actually catfishing. And hopefully that extra time will offset the fact that I'm not using the bait that I would deem as being best this time of year. Hopefully the extra time on the water will still get me the same end result as what I could do with maybe less time catfishing, but more time spent with the premium bait. If that makes sense at all. I don't know if I'm explaining that in a way that makes sense. But I just got so frustrated with skipjack fishing. It's just not worthwhile. We're just at a point, man, it's not worthwhile. And I know people are getting some at the dam right now. I've seen pictures of it. I've seen reports of it. But from what I can gather, it's a limited bite in the evenings before sunset. It's not like we could go out there at 8:53 a.m. right now and have a reasonable chance of catching any. And I'm at a point in life, y'all, I like, at least in these summer months when it's warm, I like fishing in the mornings. It just suits my lifestyle better. And I've always kind of fished around my lifestyle. A lot of people have asked me through the years to do more night videos and stuff, and I don't have a desire to do night videos. They never performed well on this channel at all. They didn't hardly get clicked much, and if I hid the fact it was a night video until people actually clicked on it, then the watch time was terrible because they'd click right off. Night videos don't make good videos. There's a glare and you can't see the background and stuff. It doesn't make for good, entertaining videos. They just don't do good. But when I fished at night, it was a matter of convenience for me because I was working night shift at the time. Back when I had a real job, I was travel nursing and stuff, I would occasionally take a contract that would be on night shift. And so I would keep my same sleep schedule on my days off best I could versus trying to flip-flop back and forth and messing up your body. I tried to keep that same pattern, if you will. And so because I was up at night on my off days, I would go fishing. It was convenient. It fit my lifestyle. Well, nowadays, now that I do this YouTube crap full time, I set my own schedule. Well, I like being home at night. I like sleeping at night, being in my own bed. I can come out here, fish in the mornings while my wife is at work, and that allows me, like today, we'll come out here and that sun has popped out from the clouds. It got 20 degrees hotter right there when it popped out behind them clouds. But like today, we'll come out here, we'll fish till it gets so damn hot we can't stand it. We'll go home, I'll have some lunch, and then I'll start doing the video stuff. And hopefully I'll be done with all the video crap before my wife gets home. And then we've got our evenings together there. And usually the video crap, like if I'm doing a video like today, this video won't take me no time at all. All I got to do is just upload it to my computer, save the file, and upload it to YouTube. Like it's easy peasy. Now, if we get some fish today that would make a good shorts video type deal, or if we get enough quality fish that I could shrink it down to an edited video for my second channel, well, those would be time-consuming things that might take up more time. But I try to get all of the computer crap done before the wife gets home. That way, like this was my work day, she's had her work day, and then we've got our time together, if that makes sense. You have to treat it Well, I mean, this is a job for me, so I mean, you have to treat it as such. And what I don't like doing, the worst thing, I hate it when this happens, is when I get backed up on trips, when I get backed up on editing, and then I have to spend an entire day or more behind a computer just catching up, getting all the editing and uploading and all that crap done. Like, I hate having all that hanging over me, and I don't like sitting behind a computer anyway, so when I have to dedicate like a full 8-hour day to just editing, it makes me just want to beat my face against the table. Like, I can't stand it. So I try to do everything in real time. Like, we come out here, we fished this morning, I want to have this crap done by this afternoon. The video crap anyway. Like, I want to have it done by the time this day ends tonight. I want everything about this trip done. That way we're on to the next day, you know, starting from scratch on the following trip. Sometimes that ain't possible. Life gets in the way, or maybe I'm on a road trip traveling somewhere and I don't take my computer with me, so I wait till I get back home to do everything. Well, then you can't help it. Like, you're just going to have to sacrifice a day. And when that happens, I'll usually try to plan it around a rainy or stormy day or a high wind day type deal. But hell, look at this contour line we were on, it's ventured over a little bit here too. I think we're going to stay on it though, because it's going to bring us out here by this point. And then it looks like it's going to go back along the edge of the flat this way. So let's stay on this line. But we did venture off a little bit. That's all right. I'm going to tell you what else I'm going to do too. I'm going to reel this thing in and see if we still got bait on here. And if we don't, oh hell, we got a fish. No, we don't. That was weird. I was reeling up slack and it felt like we had a fish, and then we got nothing. We got no bait. We got no float either, apparently. Crap far. Let's get another float out of our bag here. What about this? Do we have a... Yeah, we got our float still on this one. Well, let's take the float off of this rig that we broke the hook off earlier. That will save us from taking a whole tied up rig and ruining it. Get my pliers here. Them pegs are kind of down in there a little bit. There's one of them. Don't lose that, y'all. Don't let it fall down the scupper hole now. I'm going to ruin this float trying to get that peg out. There we go. All right. Well, let's just run this through right here above our hook and put them pegs back in, and we'll be good to go. These lighter tackle dragging rigs, it's something I've been playing around with. I don't know if we're going to do this long term. May go back to just the heavy stuff for the dragging. But I wanted to try the light tackle dragging, see how it would do. You know, when I went up to Sandusky Bay this past time, I was using the lighter, granted we were using them more for anchor fishing than it was for actual dragging. But they were effective for that. And I'm kind of curious to see how it will do long term against maybe some bigger fish. Let's get a little bit bigger piece than... Why am I even doing... We need to cut a piece of shad. Why am I cutting the chicken for that rig? Y'all have got me so discombobulated here. You played... And you was going to let me do it too, wasn't you? You wasn't even going to say nothing. You was just going to let me make a fool of myself. Y'all, I don't know why y'all treat me this way. You know how I am. I get scatterbrained when I get to talking. But yeah, these light tackle rigs, man, I don't know if it's something we'll do long term. But I do want to try it and see how they perform, see what kind of fish we can get. My big concern is just the lighter line dragging along the bottom. You don't have the amount of abrasion resistance that you get with your heavier line, I mean, clearly. And I worry about that costing us some fish, maybe more break-offs, or definitely losing more rigs when we get snagged up and stuff. Like, we're not going to be able to pull out of snags as easily when we got to get rough with it and really pull on it. So it's one of the things, we don't know what we don't know, so we just got to try it out and see how it ends up. But it's definitely a concern coming across mussel beds and rocky bottoms and stuff, and you get a little nick in your line, a little abrasion, and then big fish hits and boom, it's gone. It's not really as big a deal with the suspend rigs because they're not touching bottom. The only potential abrasion that a suspended bait is going to get is just after a fish hits. And your line is maybe rubbing, depending on where the hook placement is in its mouth, the line might be rubbing along the tooth patch in its mouth there, and you get a little abrasion from that. But to this point, we've caught enough fish with the 15-pound line on suspended baits, and not only caught fish, but we've caught enough big fish over the last year with it, that I feel pretty good about it. I feel pretty confident with it. As long as your drag is good, like, you've got a reasonable expectation of catching and landing those fish without breaking off. Will you get an occasional break off? Sure. We've had it. But it's not as prevalent and not as common as what I thought it would be when I first started. Like, that was a huge fear of mine, of just getting a monster fish and breaking it off. And so far, man, I feel pretty confident in it. I haven't developed that same confidence yet with the lighter gear dragging rigs. I mean, like, for instance, we're using 20-pound line for our leaders on the dragging rigs versus 15. Why ain't I using 15? Because I had some 20-pound line and I don't have the confidence to use the 15. And honestly, we need to try some even lighter line at some point on our suspend rigs and just see how that'll do. See if that makes a difference in the number of fish. Although, I mean, I feel pretty good about the number of fish that we're catching with the lighter gear at 15-pound test. Especially like in the spring when we were drifting in that shallow water. I mean, I was catching fish on suspended baits in 12 to 15 feet of water. I mean, y'all saw the videos. Like, I used to not even want to suspend at those depths because I knew I wasn't going to do any good. And this year, we tore them up, not only numbers of fish, but big fish too, at those shallower depths. And I really think it's like, well, what changed? What's the difference? Why was I able to do it this year? And it wasn't like it was a one-trip thing. Like, it wasn't just a fluke and it happened one time. No, we done it over the whole spring season when they were up in the shallows like that. Like, we were whacking fish consistently. The only thing that really changed was the gear that I was using. I went from heavy gear down to lighter gear. Big hooks down to small hooks. So in my heavy gear, I'm using 40-pound mono for the main line, 80-pound leaders, 10-aught size hooks. Well, that's going to be a lot more visible in especially the shallow water and clear water like we had earlier this spring when we wasn't getting no rain. I mean, it was crystal clear. You had several feet of visibility. We've got several feet of visibility here today, but that's even more important in the shallower depths where the light penetration and clear water, fish are going to be able to get eyes on your baits. Like, they're going to be able to see what it is they're eating. And I used to never like to suspend in less than 20 feet of water because I knew it wasn't going to work out. We just weren't going to catch fish. But going to the lighter gear, we are. And so I have to think, based on that, based on past experiences, that the lighter gear makes a difference. And it certainly does in other fish species. I mean, that's inarguable. Like, we can have a debate about catfish of whether line size matters. And if you want to take the counter argument to me, you can make a damn good compelling case. Because how many fish every year are caught on trot lines and drug lines and limb lines? And they're using that thick bank line material oftentimes. Like, they're using bigger lines and bigger hooks and stuff, and still you catch a bunch of fish. Hell, when I was using the heavy gear exclusively, I still caught a bunch of fish every year. So you can make a compelling argument based on your own results and other people's results that line size does not matter, hook size does not matter. But when we have situations like this year where you can go out and bust fish in situations that you couldn't normally catch them. And like last year when I was fishing in my Hobie Pro Angler and I could use 4 rods, and I would put 2 light tackle rods versus 2 heavy tackle rods, and you saw the results. I was catching more fish and bigger fish on the lighter gear than the heavy gear. Well, you do that enough times, and like you kind of have to start thinking to yourself, like, man, there's something to this. Like, there's something to this lighter gear getting more bites, and that is the case with other fish species. I've seen it in my own fishing because I do a lot of ultralight fishing. And in my younger days, I would use 6-pound line, 8-pound line, whatever. And I went down to 4-pound line, and finally, I started following Randy Goad there, Trout Magnet Man, YouTube channel, but I followed him long before he ever had a YouTube channel. I followed him on social media. He's the best ultralight fisherman that I've ever known of. I mean, I don't know anybody that's caught more fish than him and a variety of species on the ultralight than him. I mean, he's a very good fisherman, an excellent. I've learned a ton from him. But one of the things he always stressed was using the lightest line possible. And so he was the reason I went to 2-pound line. And when I went from, even just going from 4-pound line to 2-pound line on my ultralight, I started catching more fish. I mean, it was a night and day difference. And not only improve the castability of the lighter jig heads and stuff with the ultralight, but it improved the number of catches. Like, I was catching more fish on the lighter line. And when you talk to trout fishermen, the guys who fly fish and stuff, like, you'll hear them talk about it too. Like, if you're using too big a line, too heavy of a leader there, or tippet, whatever the hell they call it, you just ain't gonna catch fish. Like, you could be fishing side by side with somebody and one person be whacking them and you not, and the only difference is their line size. So it makes a big difference, maybe some fish species more so than others, especially fish that are going to feed more by sight or in clear water situations. It's going to make more of a difference in those situations, certainly. But like, well, out here on Tennessee River where I fish, I mean, today, I bet you we've got 4 or 5 feet of visibility at least in the water. So, I mean, conditions are pretty clear out here too. And they oftentimes are, unless we've just been fortunate to get some rain and maybe dirtied things up a little bit. So I think there's something to it with catfish. I didn't necessarily believe that, say, 2 years ago, but now I do. And I've seen it with my own catches. And so I've become a believer in it. I don't know how big a difference, though, it would make if we went from, say, 15-pound leaders down to 10-pound leaders. Would it make any difference? Would it make enough of a difference to justify potentially losing more fish because of having the weaker line? Like that kind of thing, I don't know. One other thing I'm going to try at some point is, I'll probably wait till it's time to replace the line that we have on. So it won't be something that's going to happen next week necessarily. But instead of doing braided line for the main line down to a swivel and then a leader, maybe just do straight fluoro or straight mono and not have a leader at all. I mean, that's 2 less knots to tie, 2 less potential points of failure in the lighter gear. It's also less time consuming at home because you're not going to have to tie up a bunch of leaders. And I do have to tie more leaders. Oh, we got thumped. There he goes. he whacked it, buddy. He inhaled it. That rod went kabonk. We went through a little dry spell too, didn't we? We're right here in front of this creek now. We're going through a little downtime. It's probably the longest break we've had between fish. I don't know if it's just we're off of them or time of day or what. Getting later in the morning here. That sun had peeked out behind the clouds there a few minutes ago. It might maybe mess things up a smidge. This fish said he's willing and ready. So far though, with the larger circle hooks today that we're running, we are not getting the gut hooks with the chicken. So that's good. We at least maybe solved one problem we had. I hear you talking to us. He's got a lot to say, don't he? You old blue cat. You old thing. Get down there. Well, I already cut this piece of chicken right here. Let's just go ahead and hook it on there and send it down. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of them things. It's if you believe it to be true, then it is true. And I've believed it to be true that this light line makes a difference. So we're going to stick with it, but we may try the either going straight mono or straight braid on here at some point. See how it does. It would save us from tying lead. That's what I was about to say before that fish interrupted. I spend a lot of time tying leaders anyway, but with the lighter gear, I have to change out the leaders way more often because that lighter line gets abraded quicker. When I'm using my heavy gear, and again, I use 80-pound leaders on the heavy stuff. So between that and the thicker wire hooks, like, hell, I'll run the same leaders for weeks. Like, I'll run the same leaders for a month or more, as long as the hook point don't get bent. But like that 80-pound line, it's so thick, you ain't gonna get no abrasion on it hardly. So I rarely ever change out my leaders on the heavy gear, and so therefore I don't have to tie as many. But these lighter line, man, I gotta retie all the time. So if we could just run our main line all the way to the hook and have like a little, either a piece of split shot or maybe one of them little Carolina keeper clamps or something on our line to keep our sinker where it needs to be above our line. Well, then we break off a hook. The only thing we got to replace is just the hook. We could just carry a pack of hooks instead of having a bunch of pre-tied leaders and stuff. And two, you're going to eliminate 2 knots. Because right now, that knot, our main line goes to our swivel, where there's a knot. Our leader goes from the swivel down to the hook. So you've got 3 knots right now. Whereas with that setup, you'd have 1 knot just directly to the hook. And then as needed, if you get a little abrasion on your line, you just strip off a section of your line and be good to go again on that. So we're going to try it at some point. We're going to try it, see how it goes. But the big thing though is like, what pound test? Do you do 10, 15? Will it make a difference? I don't want to go lighter than 10 for sure. I really don't want to go to 10. I'm having enough success with 15-pound tests that I think that's probably the way to go. But also too, like, you know, with braid, it lays on them spinning reels good. Fluoro can get kind of springy, so I don't know how well it would do. Be one of them things. It's just one of the things we got to try. It'll be a $8 experiment, I guess. We get a spool of line and put on there. The advantage to the braid, though, that crap lasts forever. I mean, yeah, you got to strip off a little bit from time to time if it gets braided, but it'll last much longer than mono or fluoro. So there's that. But it's worth a shot. It's worth trying. What else is going on in the world, y'all? What else do we need to talk about today? I had some kinfolk come in. You all won't necessarily care about that, but you might care about the other parts of it. So I had my aunt and one of my cousins and my cousin's kids who I'd never met before. I haven't seen them in forever, but they live in Oklahoma. They are on my dad's side. My mom was an only child, and my grandparents on my mom's side are dead. My grandparents on my dad's side dead. My whole family's pretty much dead, except for my one aunt that's still alive. My dad and one of his sisters, my aunt, and then her kids, which are my cousins. But they all live in Oklahoma, and so we never see each other. Like, they're a long distance away, and they used to, when I was a kid, they would come in about once a year, once every other year, and visit with my grandmother. But after she passed away, they just don't, there's no reason to come back anymore. Like, they come in for my other aunt's funeral and my uncle's funeral. But when you get to this stage in life, folks, hell, you know how it is. Funerals become kind of impromptu family reunions. Everybody's living their own life. You got jobs, kids, family stuff of your own, and you kind of lose touch with people, especially if they're living long distances apart. And so me and my aunt and cousins, like, we were never really close with each other because we didn't see each other much, right? But anyway, they come back. One of my cousins and my aunt was coming back, and they were taking a little road trip going to Tennessee, and we're going to stop off here in East Tennessee. They wanted to visit my grandparents' church that they went to and visit their graveside and kind of see the areas that where my aunt grew up when she grew up here. And then they were going to go on up to Kentucky, and I think they were going to go to the horse track up there where they have that Kentucky Derby and the Louisville baseball bat factory, do stuff for the kids, whatnot. Make a little road trip out of it. So they come through, and they had reached out and say, hey, we'd like to meet up with you and your parents and stuff and meet your new wife and all that. And so I met up with them when they got to town. And I hadn't seen them in forever. We figured it up. So my cousin that came in, again, her kids are 8 years old and 10 years old. Last time I saw her, she wasn't even married yet, let alone having kids. But we figured it up. She came in for my uncle's funeral, which was 2009. So it had been 17 years since I had seen her. And my aunt last came in for my other aunt's funeral, which was in 2012. So it's been 14 years since I had seen her. So, and granted, like, we are Facebook friends, right? So, like, I see their posts and whatnot, but it's different when you actually see somebody in person versus posts. And we met up at the restaurant for lunch, and y'all, my aunt, like, as she has aged, And she looks great for her age, by the way. I think she's 70, I think she's 73. My dad's 76, she's 73. She's aged well. I mean, she looks very good for her age, but as she's gotten older, she is a spitting image of my grandmother. Well, you know, my grandmother's dead now, but like what my grandmother looked like at that age, my aunt looks like now. And this is probably going to sound so weird for me to say this. You're going to think I'm a total weirdo. But like, I didn't want to stop looking at my aunt. Like, I mean, in my mind, I'm sitting there as we're talking, and I'm like, man, they're going to think I'm weird, like I'm just staring. But like, it was like seeing my aunt in person. It was like going back in time and seeing my grandmother again in person. Because I mean, just the facial features, her current hairstyle, like, I mean, it was like looking back in time. I mean, obviously she's my aunt, not my grandmother, completely different personalities and such, but like just from a physical appearance standpoint, it was like being able to go back in time and see my grandmother in person again. It was incredible. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And of course, I mean, I'm happy to see my aunt again and stuff too, but like just that alone, it was just so, it's hard to describe. Like you can look at pictures of people, like I can pull out a photo album and see pictures of my grandmother from back in the day. But it's different, man. It's different when you see somebody in person. It's different. Like photographs and videos. This video we're filming out here today, like we have the ability with camera technology today to capture a moment in time, right? Whatever the hell, I don't even know what today's date is, but like we are capturing this moment in time as it is. Me as I am, you as you are, nature as it is, the river as it is today. We are able to capture this moment in time. And as long as technology works, for the foreseeable future, at any point in time in the future, we will be able to pull up this video and look at things as they were today. But that is still different than being able to see it in person. And so my grandmother, she died in 2003. So, I mean, it's been 23 years since I last saw my grandmother in person. And to see my aunt and just, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like it looks like my grandma. I mean, it was just amazing. And, you know, we had a good visit. We sat out there at the restaurant about 2 hours and just chatted and caught up. And my cousin, and she's a year younger than me. My aunt had multiple kids. Like one cousin is a year older than me. My cousin Lydia that came in, she's a year younger than me. And then there was an age gap there, and then she had 2 more kids, and then she ended up adopting 2 other kids after that. So like when we were little, when I was a kid, they were coming in regularly to see my grandmother and stuff. And then I've seen my oldest 2 cousins more throughout life. I don't really have a relationship with the youngest 2 because of the age gap, and then the adopted kids. I don't have any. I think I met them once, I think. But you know, we just don't have a relationship because we've lived so far apart and never really saw each other and stuff. But like it was great catching up with them. And we go to leave and stuff, and it was almost kind of sad when we left. It was, I don't know if they felt the same way or not. I mean, I was happy to see them certainly because it had been so long, but it was kind of sad too because it's like it kind of hits you on the drive home that like this is probably it. This is probably the last time I will ever see them again. You know, with like my aunt, you know, she's 73, my dad's 76, like, it's terrible to say, but clock's ticking, you know, like we're at that point, and it's like, you look at how long it's been since we saw each other last, 17 years for my cousin, 14 years for my aunt. Like, if we go another 15 years, let's say, like, are any of us still alive then at that point? You know, so like, that's probably it. That's probably the last time my dad and my aunt will ever see each other. I mean, my dad, you know, physically, he can't travel. Like, he couldn't, you know, when I got married there last year, I mean, he couldn't even come to the wedding. Like, physically, you just couldn't get him on the plane and stuff to do it. So, you know, it was just kind of sad. It was bittersweet. It was great seeing them. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting my cousin's kids. You know, they were very well behaved, very polite, respectful. I mean, she's done a great job with those kids. Oftentimes kids are little snots these days, but like, they were very polite and very respectful, and very, very good kids. I was very impressed with them. But I mean, hell, when I saw her last, she wasn't married, didn't have kids. Like, I mean, it's different, and she looks great too. I mean, she's aged very well. But it was just great seeing them, but also sad at the same time. And I think I don't know if they felt the same way or not, as far as kind of being bittersweet and everything, but like, Lord Almighty, that was a splash right here beside us. I wonder if that wasn't a paddlefish. I never saw it. It was gone before I turned. That was 10 foot from us. Lordy days. Could have had us if it wanted to. But like, I think, because I mean, my town that I live in, it's changed a lot, really since COVID. After COVID, when everybody changed jobs and was working remotely or working from home, everybody started moving, and we started getting bombarded with people in Tennessee. Like, we've got about as many, I feel like we've got about as many people from California and New York and Michigan now as we do actual Tennesseans. And our culture changed in my town, and it started growing up. Now we've got fast food restaurants and apartment complexes everywhere. Like, every square inch of what used to be farmland is now paved over. And so my aunt, who hadn't been here in 14 years, I think for her, like, she wanted to come back and visit places where she grew up and visit my grandmother's house and all that. And so I think for her, it was kind of a culture shock, because it's changed. I mean, it's changed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years, but I mean, especially since she's last been here, like, it's a different town. Like, it's just the traffic and everything paved over. And so she had talked about a little bit there, and they hadn't even, like, we met for lunch before she was going to my grandmother's house. And I tried to warn them. I'm like, you don't want to go down there. Like, it's better to remember it as it was versus what it is now, because, and this is something I don't understand. This kind of thing, like, I don't understand this about people. Like, and you see it, it ain't just this situation with my grandmother's house. You see it, drive up and down your street. You'll see it your damn self. But your house is your biggest investment you will ever make. It's not our biggest expense. Everybody says, well, your house is your biggest expense. That's not true. Taxes are our biggest expense. We'll pay more in taxes in our lifetime than what we will ever pay for a house, vehicle, education, raising children, whatever. You will pay more in taxes than anything else. That is our biggest expense. But our biggest purchase, most of the time, for most people, is going to be your house. And you are spending a crazy amount of money on that house, especially if you finance it and you're getting hit with interest charges. It takes so much of your life energy to pay for that house by having to go to work and work a job that you probably don't like doing to pay for it. And yet, people won't take care of their houses. They let them get run down. They won't mow the yard. They just trash the place. I don't understand that for the life of me. I don't get it. Like, you've spent a crazy amount of money and given up a crazy amount of your time in your life working a job to pay for it. And listen, money comes and goes. You can always make more money. What you can't make more of is time. We've all got a finite amount of time on this earth, and we've got even less time of good, healthy, productive years. And you're wasting it to purchase a house that you're just going to let go to shit. I don't get it, but by God, everybody that's had my grandmother's house has changed possessions. So she died in 2003. I think she sold the house in 2001, if memory serves me. And it's changed owners at least 3 times now that I can remember off the top of my head. And every new owner that has had it has let it get a little worse. And when it came up for sale, it was not the last time, it just sold a few months ago, but when it came up for sale the last time, a few years ago, I pretended to be interested in buying it so that I could go in and get my own nostalgia tour, if you will, just walk around and see what's that? Did you see that right there? I was looking that way. Something was right there. Y'all might have seen it on camera. Something big come up right there. I got to get my sunglasses. That dang sun's going to come out and melt our flesh off here. It's hot. But I went in there when it came up for sale just for nostalgia, you know, just to walk around and reminisce. Because I spent a lot of time in that house as a kid. She used to keep me, fish. Been over there trying to put my camera bag under the seat, and this fish seized an opportunity to bury that rod, didn't he? Danged old fish sneak attacked. Happy to get him too. That bite's really slowed down. The later in the morning we've got, and the farther we've made our way down through here, the less we're getting bit. And I don't know which is the case, or which is the cause. Is it the timing of the day, or we're just off the fish? Either way, we got us another one here, although he ain't very big. Quality remains very poor today. Another one on the chicken. We've definitely had the chicken outperform the shad. I don't know the exact numbers. I ain't kept track of the fish, but I feel like it's at this point, a pretty wide margin. Well, I say that, and here we go. Now we got one on the shad. We've gone through some here. We've gone through some fish here, folks. These fish, they said they don't want me talking about how humans just suck at maintaining their property and whatnot. But we're going to talk about it when we get these fish done regardless. By gosh, I'm going to go on a rant about this because I don't understand people. I don't get it. People drive me nuts, man. I'd like to be driven nuts by some fish, but this one here ain't even old enough to drive. He can't get a driver's license. He's so young. Another bite though, man. We kind of got off the fish a little bit, but we must have went through a school. We're just down from that creek we went by now. You got any friends back there with you, fish? Maybe any bigger kinfolk? He won't tell me. He ain't gonna tell me a thing. He said he ain't giving up no information. I'm gonna get another shad here though. We'll go back to a head bait. Get that out, and then we'll cut another piece of that chicken and send it out. And then we're going to get back to telling you a story about how I toured my grandma's house a few years ago. So I went in, walking around and stuff, and boy, that place, and granted, it was an old house anyway. But like my grandmother, she was still, I mean, at the point when she eventually moved, went to assisted living. And honestly, I mean, she could have stayed in that house longer. It's just my other aunt, the aunt that's dead now, like she was relentless about getting my grandmother to give up that property and go to an assisted living. And she did it for good. She had good reason for it. Like, you know, she was worried about my grandmother's safety and whatnot, being out there and mowing that big yard and the hillside and whatnot. But I thought that was good for my grandmother, honestly. I mean, toward the end there, hell, it'd take her all week to mow the yard. But it gave her something to do. It gave her a purpose. And it kept her active and moving. And when she went to the assisted living, all she did, she didn't have anything to do anymore. And she just sat around. And she ended up dying not too long after going into the assisted living. And I think, I mean, at that age, I mean, anything could have happened, and she may have well died regardless, and hell, maybe would have had an accident or potentially died sooner if she'd stayed at home. Who knows? But I do know, like, once she went into assisted living, she had nothing to do anymore. And at least when she was home and keeping the place up, like, she had something, she had a task to do every day. She had something to get out of bed and go do. And, my grandma, she was always very active in doing stuff. And when that got taken away from her, it went downhill fast. And so, but anyway, my grandmother, she was, I don't know, 83, 85 years old and still living at home and keeping that place looking beautiful. And it's the people that have moved in since then, multiple owners now, have let that place go to complete trash. Like, they've let everything grow up. They don't keep the place mowed. They don't do anything with the house, and it looks terrible. Absolutely terrible now. It's sad. Every time I drive by my grandmother's house to go visit my parents, it's got to a point I don't even like looking that way. I just keep my eyes forward as I go by because it's so sad to see what it's turned into. And so I told my aunt, because when they were going to finish the lunch that we were having, they were going to drive down there and just see it. And I was like, it's better to leave it in your memory. Remember it as it was, not as it is. Because everybody that's moved in there since then, even these newest people that moved in a few months ago, like, you would think, like, mow the damn yard. Keep the place, like, no. They just, it looks terrible. It looks awful. And I don't know how they got as much money as they did. When it went up for sale several years ago, when I looked at it, went in and toured it, they wanted like $200,000 for it. And the house itself was pretty run down. Like, when you walked in from the back porch into the kitchen, like, you could feel the floor was crooked. Like, you were on a slant. You were walking at a slant then, and there was a bunch of mold. It was being sold as is. There was a bunch of mold in the basement and stuff. Like, it was in rough shape. And the people that had it the last few years, I don't think they done anything to it. And then these new people bought it, and they paid $350,000 for it. That goes to show you how many people have moved to this area, to Tennessee, in the last few years, that a rundown house can gain $150,000 in value in such a short amount of time. But it is a rundown house now. It's just completely been let go. And all the stuff from the childhood memories of, like, one of the things my cousin was brought up, she's like, was the barn still there? Because we used to play in that barn all the time. It was a big old barn, exactly like you would think of like you would think on an old farm. Now, we would climb up in the loft and do what kids do. I got a lot of great memories in that barn, but it was in a state of disrepair and fell down a decade or so ago, and it's gone out of there. And the area where my grandma used to have her garden, that's a swimming pool now. One of them, not a good in-ground pool either, like one of them little $99 Walmart deals. Looks trashy as hell. And the creek we used to play in and turn over rocks and grab crawdads and stuff, like you can't even get to it because it's so grown up. My grandma used to keep all that hillside in front, like leading down to that creek. 83, 85 years old, she would keep all of that looking pristine. These young people that have had it since then, man, they ain't done anything with that hillside in 15 plus years. And it's grown up. There's 20-foot tall trees there now. Like, you can't even get down to that creek. And it's just sad. It's sad. Like, that's... And I know what you're going to say. Well, Justin, why didn't you just buy the damn place and keep it up yourself if it means that much to you? Well, I couldn't at the time. Like, when my grandmother, when she sold that place, I wasn't at a point. I was in college and working a part-time job. Like, I didn't have the means to buy that place. And once I got to a point in life where I could, like, at that point, the house, you wouldn't want it now. It would cost so much money to get it back up to where you would want it to be that it just wouldn't be worthwhile. But it's sad, and you see that a lot. Neighborhoods that at one point in time were very, what's the word, uppity or well-kept or whatever, nice neighborhoods. When the people that had those houses die off and the new people move in, the neighborhood just goes to crap. My grandmother on my mom's side. So when I was born up until I think I was 7 or 8 years old when we moved, we lived in the house across the street from my grandmother, my mom's mom on that side. And that neighborhood was very nice. You had a line of houses on our side of the street that was very well kept. These weren't huge houses. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, like 800 square foot house. Like, this was a small house. And all the houses on that road were pretty small. But everybody had pride in their property, and they took care of it. They mowed the yards, they had flowers and plants and bushes and stuff, and it was just well kept. All but one house. And that dude that lived on the other side of my grandmother, he was kind of known as a druggie type guy. He had been in and out of jail and stuff. And everybody else's house, though, in the neighborhood was well kept. Well, fast forward, what are we now? I'm 44, so fast forward 35, 40 years. Now all of those houses are run down. All of the people, my grandmother, she died. The neighbors that lived next to us at the time when I was a kid, they died. Like, everybody on that street just died off. And the people that moved into the houses didn't take any pride. They didn't do the same work and upkeep as everybody else. And it just went to crap. But the one house in that neighborhood now that looks good? It was the old druggie's house. So when I was a kid, the place that was run down, somebody had bought it before the neighborhood went to complete trash, and they had fixed up that house. And so now that's the one property on that street that still looks good. Everything else, my grandmother's house, it's awful. The house we used to live in, it's awful. It's just, I just don't get it, man. I don't understand, like, I don't, if I met you out on the water today and you were in a $200 kayak or something, or using a Snoopy fishing pole kid setup, like, I wouldn't think anything less of you at all. Like, I wouldn't judge you at all. But if I drive by your house and the grass is 3 foot tall and your your gutter is hanging off your roof and you got trash all out in your yard and stuff, like I'm a judgmental person from that aspect. Like I'm going to judge you for that. Because again, you've spent all of your life, all this time in your life working a job to pay for this house, and you take no pride in it whatsoever? Like, I don't get that. I've got neighbors right now beside me at home. And their yard is, I mean, they've got shit everywhere out there. They don't maintain their side of the fence. Like, it pisses me off, man, living beside somebody like that. And it's like, why don't you, and like the people, when they first moved into that place beside me, at first, he did have a little pride in the place. Like we got that fence between us, and I had to end up putting a wooden privacy fence up to block out the view because they're so trashy now. But at first it was just a chain link fence there, and kudzu would take it over every year. And I'd fight it off best I could on my side, but it would be growing so far over on their side of the property, like there's just wasn't nothing I could do. Well, when they first moved in, they cleared all that off, and I'm like, well, great. You know, and finally I'll have a neighbor here that's going to keep that kudzu at bay on that side. Well, hell, that was one and done, buddy. One and done. Since then, I'm still fighting off that kudzu. And they had come from a trailer park too. Like that was their first, and then I call them Sanford and Son because they're so trashy, but like that was the first property they had ever owned. And I remember him being excited about it. That first time I talked to him, it was the first property they ever owned. They had been living in a trailer park for several years. And he had finally got approved for whatever loan that they got and got that place. And they end up like, you know, you fast forward 6 months later and it's like the place looks like shit. And it's like, why? You've spent your whole life trying to get to a point where you can have your own place. And yet you just let it instantly get run down and you don't have any pride in it. I don't get it. I can't relate. And everybody in life's different, right? Like we all have things that bother us or that's different than the next person, or things that we like that's different than the next person, or things that, you know, you and I, we may have completely different opinions on what's important and what ain't. But I just can't relate to somebody like that. They're completely unrelatable because I know how much time and effort I had to put in to pay off my house. Like, I mean, it was, looking back on it now, I got my house at a bargain. But at the time when I bought it, like, I mean, it took everything I had to make that mortgage payment. I mean, I had to work a lot of hours, a lot of overtime. And so I want to take care of the place. Like, I mean, to me, like, I know what I had to give up and sacrifice to get it. So I'm not going to treat my house like that. I'm going to keep my yard mowed. I'm going to keep the place in good a condition as I can. I got people coming this week I've spent a few $1,000s here to get new insulation put in this place. Like, you know, I want to keep it as good a condition as I can. And I just I can't relate to people like that, man. I can't relate. And so anyway, circling back to my grandma's house, like my aunt and cousin was going to go and visit it. And I'm like, boy, you're going to regret it. You know, so I hope this trip that they're on, and I'm sure, look, it's going to be a good trip. Like they're making some memories. My aunt is getting to do this with her grandkids there, you know, my cousin's kids and my cousin, and I'm sure like this is going to be memorable for everybody involved, and they're going to have a lot of fun with the activities they're doing and stuff. But I have to believe that there's going to be a little disappointment with my aunt and my cousin with just how this place has changed since they've been here last. Is it weird though that I just wanted to look at my aunt? I mean, I just couldn't stop staring at her. I mean, it was like seeing my grandmother again in person. And it's so different seeing it in person versus watching. I mean, I don't have any videos of my grandma. I didn't have a camera back then. Not like a video camera or anything. I mean, we've got pictures, of course, photographs, like actual photographs, not like digital crap on our phone that'll disappear if we ever get hit with a EMP or whatever, or if the cloud was to ever disappear or get hacked or go down. But like actual photographs, like back in the day when you would take a camera that had film in it and then take that film to Walmart or the little Kodak stand in the grocery store parking lot. It used to be a little booth. When I was a small child, I remember it, in front of Ingles grocery store, in the parking lot, there would be a little like one-man booth, and you would drop your film from a camera off in that booth, and then like a week later, you could go back and pick up the photos when they would be ready to pick up. And you didn't even know what the photos were going to look like because you were just taking a picture on a camera, and then whatever they turned out, they turned out. But I mean, I've got pictures like that of my grandmother, and you can look and you can see that picture that was captured at that moment in time, but it's different seeing somebody live and in person. And I just couldn't stop looking at her. Like it was like going back in time, or just seeing, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's part of getting old. You get nostalgic, you know, I've been going through that midlife crisis now for the last couple years. You all have been here for every bit of it, of me buying toys and action figures and stuff, trying to relive my childhood, I guess. And it's not like my adult life is so bad that I'm just trying to go back in time to be a kid. My life is good right now, man. I've got good health. My wife is in good health. My parents are good as can be, you know, I guess. I mean, it certainly could be better, but like, we're in a good spot in life. But I can't help but, part of me still longs for the, almost, I mean, I guess more than anything, when I look back at my childhood, the thing I miss the most is just the innocence of it. Like, I mean, I had a great childhood, and I certainly loved my toys as a kid. I had action figures, G.I. Joes, Wrestlers, Ninja Turtles, etc. And so when I think back to my childhood, like, that's one of the first things that, if you ask me, Justin, like, if you come up to me and you said, Justin, your childhood, give me the first thing that pops into your mind, I'm probably going to think G.I. Joes. Like, because it was such a big part of my childhood, right? But looking back on it now, like, I think what I really long for is just the innocence of it. When you're a kid, you haven't been exposed to the world. You don't know, well, I mean, I can't, in my case, not every kid is as fortunate as I was. Some kids have to grow up way too quick based on their circumstances and, you know, what's going on in their parents' lives and stuff. Like I was born on third base from that aspect, you know. Some kids, they're standing at the plate with 2 strikes against them the day they're born. From that aspect of life, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money growing up or anything. I don't come from a well-off, rich family or nothing. I mean, again, when I was a kid, we had a 800 square foot house, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. We went from there to a single wide trailer to a double wide trailer. Like, I mean, you know, we didn't live a lavish lifestyle. But as a kid, like, I didn't want for anything. Like, I mean, I had, all my needs were met, both physical needs, like of clothing and shelter and stuff like that, and emotional needs, like everything was met for me. But when you do have a good childhood, one of the things you gain from that as a kid is you get to keep your innocence longer. You don't know what stress is. you don't know what death is. And look, my grandpa on my dad's side, he died when I think I was like 7 or 8. So I was pretty young when I experienced that. Like that was at least the first funeral I remember going to. And, so you can't stay young and innocent forever, but when you are a kid though, and you don't know those things, like you're just able to live with no worry. You're not old enough to have regrets. You don't know what worry is. You don't know what stress is. And now as adults, like even if your life is good, like my life is great right now. There's nothing, sure, anything can be improved, but there's nothing I would really change at the moment. But there's still every day, there's still always a little worry in the back of your mind, like if your phone rings that split second before you pick it up and see who's calling, like is it a hospital calling? Did my wife have a wreck on her way to work? Did something happen to my parents? Like there's always that. As an adult, we have people that we care about, that we are responsible for, that we know something could happen to at any time. And so there's always a little worry in the back of your mind. Even when you ain't thinking about it, it's there. And of course, we all go through stress at periods of time, whether it's financial stress or emotional stress or whatever you've got going on in your life. We got a fish going on right here now. Oh, there we go. Boy, now that one's going to pull. Oh no, and he just come off. Dadgummit. That was a nice takedown. That was the best takedown of the morning. By far the best takedown. And y'all lost the fish. I knew I shouldn't have let you reel that one in. I knew I shouldn't. I knew you'd ruin it. This chicken here, it ought to be about fried, as hot as it's getting. This thing, we've left it setting out here. And it's going to be roasted for them. They're getting some roasted chicken now at this point. But I think you know what I mean though. Like as adults, like we have responsibility. Our life experience is such, like you can't go back in time where you're completely worry-free again like you were when you were a kid. When you could just wake up, watch Saturday morning cartoons, play with your G.I. Joes, have your parents prepare your lunch for you, take a nap in the afternoon. And that was a full day for you, man. And like we can do all those things. Hell, you can watch, well, there ain't no Saturday morning cartoons anymore, but you can turn your TV on, you can watch you some cartoons. I can go buy some action figures, which I've bought way too many lately. And you can do all those things, but it ain't the same. I can open up an action figure out of the package. And for that brief moment there, that 30 seconds, a minute, however long it takes you to open it up and admire that new action figure, in that moment you're lost. You're in a different mental space. It's like being a kid again. But it's quickly gone, and you're right back to reality. And that's the thing I miss most. I think that's what I miss the most about childhood. It's not the toys and the lack of responsibility. It's the innocence of just not knowing any better. And we just can't get that back, It's once it's gone, it's gone. And now we're at this stage of life where it's kind of about maintaining what you got. On a personal level, I try to improve. I exercise every day. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel here. I've got personal goals for myself that I set. I want to be a better husband to my wife, and I want to try to provide a good a life for her as possible. Like, I mean, there's goals we're working toward. I'm hoping to improve constantly. But really, you know, as far as general life goes, you're hoping to maintain, right? Like you're hoping to, I'm healthy right now. I'm hoping to maintain good health. My parents are in as good a health as they're probably ever going to be. Like I want them to maintain that. Because the only way we go from here, like I'm in perfect health today. I can't get any healthier. I can get in better physical shape, sure, but I can't get any healthier. So this is as good as it gets. My parents, like they're not going to get any healthier. So you're trying to maintain. And unfortunately, when the day comes that we're not going to be able to maintain anymore, whether it's me or my wife or parents or whoever, like, you know, it don't get any better from here. Like this is, in some aspects of life, this is as good as it's ever going to get. And so when you stop and think about it, it does two things for you. One, it makes me appreciative of what I have. You know, like I'm grateful every day that I'm in good health and my wife's in good health and parents, etc. Like I'm grateful for it. It makes me appreciative. But at the same time too, it also, when you allow yourself to think about it, when you're done being appreciative in that moment, it puts the writing on the wall of what's coming. And that puts that little fear or that little stress or worry in the back of your mind, like how much more you got of it, you know? So like you try to make every day count and try to stay in the moment, stay as present as possible, but you can't help but look toward the future. You can't, I mean, it's human nature. We're always looking forward. We look forward all the time. We look backward all the time. We spend very little time in the moment. At least that's me anyway. I don't know if that's everybody. I think it probably is. I think that's probably human nature. I don't want to speak for everybody, but that's me. But I mean, I am grateful for what I got, and I'm very appreciative of every day I get of good health and the freedom to do what I want to do and etc. But you can't help but worry about what's coming and think about what's coming and how it's going to affect you and the people you love and care about and whatnot. Because I mean, like I was thinking back after we got done eating with my aunt and cousin there, and it's like my aunt specifically, I remember when she came in for my other aunt's funeral, it don't feel like it's been 12 years, but I mean, it has. I mean, time, I ain't telling you nothing you don't know. I mean, the older we get, time flies. The old saying, the days are long, but the years fly by. It's 100% true. But I look back at what's changed in the last 12 years since I saw my aunt last. I mean, at that point in time, both my parents were still working. Both were in perfect health. I mean, hell, I was working as a nurse. Like, there's been so much change in such a short amount of time. And you try to look forward for a second to think like, okay, what does life look like 12 years from now? And certainly none of us can predict the future like that. Like, we don't have a crystal ball we can look into and may not even be alive 12 years from now. I mean, I could die on the way home today. Good news, if you're seeing this video, I survived. I survived at least long enough to upload this video. But like, we don't know what life's going to look like 12 years from now. But what I do know for 100% fact, no doubt about it whatsoever, I know with complete conviction that my life 12 years from now will not look the same as it does today. Because if you go back to my life 12 years ago, when my aunt was here, and you look at my life then, it's completely different than it is today. And you go back 12 years prior to that, it was different then too. Like we just go through these stages of life. And it's like that analogy that you hear in school of you put the frog in cool water and slowly heat it up, he'll boil to death. But if you throw him in hot boiling water, he would jump right out, which is, I've never known if that's true or not. I like frogs. I'm not going to torture them by throwing them in boiling water to find out. But that's the saying, I've heard it, you've heard it, we've all heard it. And the point of that analogy is that it's a gradual change. It won't be noticed. If the frog is in cool room temperature water and you slowly turn up the temperature, he's not going to notice until it's too late. Whereas if you just threw it in the boiling water instantly, well, this is a big change, jump right out, he knows. Same thing with our life, man, as our left rod gets hit over here. Wonder if we got him. We got one, folks. He's gonna pull a little bit too now. Another long gap between fish landed here. A bite's either we're getting off the fish or the bite's slowing down. We're off that big flat. I mean, we're still on that same contour line, but at this point it's more of a drop off the ledge. The flat, we've run out of the flat. That's probably a big part of what our malfunction here is, but I just been flapping my gums and we just been moving along at this same depth, so we're gonna roll with it, by gosh. We are still getting a fish here and there. This one here's at least pulled a little harder. He still ain't gonna be front camera worthy, but it's an improvement anyway. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a bigger dink at least. It's sad to say this, for those of you that have fast forwarded through the video and have happened to land on this spot, this is probably one of, if not the biggest fish of the day. That's the kind of morning we've had out here to this point, folks. Some days it be like that, don't it, fish? He's hooked in the bottom, right there in the flesh. We might be able to pop that hook free without me having to lay hands on you, fish. Why don't you be a pal and do that? Just pop that hook. Just do it. It's right there in the flesh. You popped free of my thumb, didn't you? Come back over here. Let's get you unhooked, you old thing. Come here. Come here. Act like somebody. There we go. Get that hook out. There. Yeah, probably the biggest one of the day. That sums up the trip right there so far, folks. Is that right there. But it's another bite. And there's been a lot of days where not only do I not catch big fish, but I don't catch any fish. Put this on and send it back out. We ain't gonna fish much longer though, I'll tell you that. I'm getting, every time that sun, it just popped out behind the cloud again. Every time it does, I swear it gets instantly 20 degrees hotter. That clouds cover and fog this morning has helped extend our trip for sure. Anyway, I don't remember exactly what I was talking about at this point, but just, I don't even know what the real moral of or the point of the story I was telling there is. It's just, life changes, man. That's, I guess, what it gets down to. Life changes. And even though these next decade here will be probably mostly gradual changes. There'll be some abrupt changes, of course, if someone dies or you get a major health incident or an accident, or I hope me and my wife don't get divorced, but if we did, that would be certainly a drastic change, a life-altering event. But regardless, over the next decade, there's going to be a lot of just small, incremental, gradual changes that when we get to that stage of life, if we're fortunate enough to get there, and we pause and look back at the last decade, we will probably realize, like, man, we're completely different now than what we used to be as far as, I mean, personality-wise will be the same, but lifestyle and stuff will be completely different. And I mean, getting older has its perks. Like, I don't want to make it sound like if there's any young people out there watching or listening to this, like, I don't want you to think like, boy, I sure don't want to get old, because that's how I always was. Like, I don't want to get old. But I mean, I'll say this, like, my 40s so far, my first 4 years of my 40s have been some of the best years of my life, really. I mean, I've gotten married. I'm at a point here in life where I can do this YouTube crap for a job. Like, I'm in a good spot health-wise and financially and stuff. Like, life has been pretty damn good. This has been one of the better eras of my life. As we got a fish over here on our chicken bait. Oh, chicky. They got him a chicken nugget. Half baked in the sun, probably got salmonella all over it. Them catfish don't mind no salmonella though, they gobble it up. It's an appetizer for them. Oh, tiny channel cat. And he gone. Unhooked himself. That's what all channel cats should do. Unhook themselves. Somebody taught that fish well. But life can be pretty damn good and still be, like, you can still know that hard times are on the horizon. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna go through some stuff. We might have some, I hope over the next decade, I hope there's a lot of good too. And there's certainly a lot of good that happens with getting older. One of it is just accomplishing goals, going through different stages of your life, meeting somebody, getting married. I'm not really the child raising type. We don't have any kids and I don't think we're going to have any, but, like, a lot of you do, and you get to watch your kids grow up and see them become their own person and get jobs and start their own families and such. Like, there's a lot to look forward to as you get older. But the downside of getting older is you're going to say a lot of goodbyes too. You're going to say goodbyes to some things that don't maybe matters more to you than what they really should. Like for me, like when I said goodbye to my hairline, I said goodbye to hair on top of my head, and I said hello to hair on my back. That comes with getting older. You're going to say goodbye to some loved ones that are going to pass away. You're going to say goodbye to some friendships, whether it be through death or people moving or just drifting apart in life. Like you hope in the end you've gained more than you've lost. But I had an old man tell me one time, toward the beginning of my nursing career there, he's like, son, if you live long enough, you're going to watch everybody you know die. And he wasn't lying. It's a morbid way of looking at things, but he was speaking the truth, speaking the gospel. So you're going to lose a lot in life, but you hopefully gain a lot too on the way. And one of the things you're definitely going to say goodbye to, though, is the, don't know what I'm trying to say here, how to word it properly, but like, it's not your memories, like the memories, like my grandma's house, just an example. The memories of it are great. I think back very fondly. The fun I had as a kid and playing in the barn and the creek and all that. But now, like if I drive by there to go visit my parents, you've got to say goodbye to that. Like it's gone. Those days are over. That house as I knew it, it's not the same. When I walked through it and toured it there a few years ago, pretended to be interested in buying it. Like, that's not my grandma's house anymore. It's different now. The wall there in the kitchen where she used to hold the yardstick on her head and put a little line with the date beside it for how tall we were, that's gone. It's painted over. Them hedge bushes she had out in front of the steps, they're gone. They're cut down. The barn I used to play in as a kid, it's fallen down. It's gone. Like you can't go back. You can't go back in time. You can hold on to the memories. You can look at pictures, and if you're fortunate enough to have video, even better. I wish I'd had video camera as a kid. If you're in a situation like me, maybe you see your aunt who you haven't seen in over a decade, and she just happens to look just like your grandma now, and you can kind of look into the past in a roundabout way. But that's as good as it gets, man. That's as good as it gets. Because everything else is just going to change and stay changed, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Just keep moving forward. Keep making new memories. Keep trying to improve your life any way you can, whether it's just your own personal health, keeping your body in shape, and either getting in better shape or just maintaining what you got so that hopefully when you do get sick or you do get hurt, you can bounce back from it a little quicker. Because that's something, man, like you got to stay moving and stuff. And I go back to my grandma because I've been thinking about it. And I was having that talk with my cousin. My parents, my dad wasn't feeling well, so they left a little early from our lunch that we were having, and I stayed there and talked with my aunt and cousin about an extra hour. And, you know, we were talking about my dad and stuff, like what he's still able to do and whatnot. And he mows. Like my dad, he can't get around very good anymore, but he can sit on a lawnmower and mow the yard. And my cousin, you know, she's asking me like, do you go down there and mow? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm not going to until I have to. I want my dad to do it because that's the one thing he can still do. And that keeps him moving. It keeps him active. And he's kind of like my grandma was all them years ago. Like now he could knock out the whole yard in a half a day. Now he does a little bit at a time. But it gives him something to do. It keeps him moving. It keeps him active. And if that was taken away from him, he's just going to become more sedentary. And that's going to negatively impact his health. And I go back to my grandma and I think like, you know, when she went into the assisted living, and my older aunt there, you know, who's passed away now, like, I think her intentions, her heart was in the right place. She was genuinely worried about my grandmother being out there and working in the yard and falling and breaking a hip. And then, I mean, at that age, it's hard to recover from that. And then she would have been in a situation where she would have been hurt and injured, and then you're trying to find a place to get her treatment and help and then deal with all the house stuff. And it's like, if you go ahead while she was still physically able and sell the house and look around and make sure you're moving to a facility that you're going to be happy at versus just taking what's available, and when you're in a situation where you've got an injury or illness or something. And the place that my grandmother went to, I mean, it was a nice assisted living. Like the staff there was always very friendly. It was very clean. It wasn't a nursing home type deal. Like my grandma up to the very end, she had a stroke, was she ended up dying from, but like she was able to do for herself to the very end. But like at the same time too, while yes, the reasons for her going to the assisted living when she did, they were valid. At the same time too, I think that really had a negative impact on her life. Like when she left home, there just wasn't anything more for her to do. Like keeping her house up and keeping the yard looking good and the garden and all that, like it gave her purpose. It gave her something to do, something to look forward to. And when you take someone's, I don't want to say when you take someone's hope away, but when you take, when a person has nothing to do and nothing to look forward to anymore, what do they have? And so when I would go visit my grandmother in assisted living, it was just sad. You know, it was sad. I mean, it was great seeing her, and she was always happy when I would show up there and visit and stuff. But at the same time, too, it was sad because it's like, I don't want to say she was a prisoner, but I mean, it was kind of the same. Like she just couldn't up and go anymore, do what she wanted to like she used to. And I think it had a negative impact. It certainly had a negative psychological impact on her. She would have never said it did, but it obviously did. And I've seen that with my own life. Like when I got hurt and I had that car wreck, I've told this story in numerous videos, but when I had that wreck and I broke my hip and pelvis and I was bedbound for a brief amount of time and had a pretty long recovery. When you lose your independence and the ability to do what you want when you want to do it, like it messes with your mind. It messes with you emotionally. It messes with you it takes something away from you. And I have to believe my grandmother went through that when she gave up her house and she just didn't have anything to do anymore. And it wasn't very long after that and she could have had a stroke at any time. Like I don't blame going to the assisted living necessarily on that, but at the same time too, like, oh, big thump. There we go. Oh, and he come right off too. Big thump though, big thump. Oh, he took the whole leader. Boy, he broke that leader off high too. Well, that was way up the line to be breaking a leader off. That's odd. It's an odd place to break off, but doo-doo happens. Let's get another one out here. That was our bigger hook, so it's that one. I got to tie up some more. I got one more of these leaders with the larger hooks here. Again, that's a 7/0 size circle hook. Forget what brand they are. I just stopped at the local bait shop and got those after our trip where we was gut hooking all them small catfish the last time we used. Oh hell, I cut the wrong knot on that thing. Give me a little slack on there, would you? There we go. But yeah, man, like you get in a situation like that and you get sedentary, like old people and stuff, they don't have anything to do anymore and they just sit around all day and they're not moving. Oh, there goes that. Here, get our sinker there so it don't fall off. Here we go. We just got our dragon rig hit. He nailed it too, buddy. He attacked that thing. Took a little line there in the beginning. Yeah, buddy. Hopefully we can keep this one on, unlike his friend over there that took our whole rig. Will he be any count though? I don't think he's going to be all that big. I think he's going to be more of the same. Dinkity-doo-dah kind of day, folks. It's a dink day. It's been a dink day all morning. Yep, it is. He's gurgling too. Nasty old fish. Burping like that. There might be a woman watching right now. She's going to be disgusted. You need to say, excuse me. Although, I'll tell you, some of the loudest burps I've ever heard have come from girls. Girls I used to work with, you know, you spend 12 hours a day working with people. you know all their tendencies and stuff. This fish has got some bad tendencies. Come here. Quit all that. Ain't you got it out of your system yet? Apparently not. He says, I'll roll around here all day, Justin. I got nothing else to do. This fish needs purpose in life. He needs to quit being so sedentary. You hear my phone buzzing over there, somebody's calling. We got a spammer probably calling. Come here, fish, give me that hook. Apple's fixed a lot of the spam stuff, but I still get a bunch of calls. It's mostly people wanting to buy my house. Or buy my lot, I should say. I've got my house, and then I've got my yard, really. Most of my yard is another lot that I had bought that adjoined my property. And I get calls all the time and text of people wanting to buy that lot. It's so obnoxious. I don't know how they're legally able to do that. I thought they wasn't allowed to. If you're on that do not call list, I thought that would prevent that, but apparently it don't for those people because I get them called all the time. And I am on that do not call registry thing. All right, we got that bait going back out. Now, let's get us another leader tied on over here. Let me just check my phone and see who that was that dares call me while I'm out here trying to. That's a damn travel nurse agency right there. That's another call list you'll never get off. Since I've worked as a travel nurse, every agency that you've ever worked with, even though I ain't worked as a nurse now in 6 years, and some of them agencies I hadn't worked with for even longer periods of time than that, but they've got your number and they will call you all the time. Don't matter how many numbers I block, they just keep calling, wanting me to come back to work. And the funny thing is, I couldn't even go, even if I wanted to, I couldn't work as a travel nurse at this point because I've been out of the game so long. Ain't nobody in their right mind would take me for a travel job. Like I could go at home here locally, I could get a job today as a nurse. But as a travel nurse, like you don't get much of an orientation. Like you got to be ready to go. You get about 1 day of orientation at the new facility you're working at, and you got to be able to function and hold your own. And I've been out of the game so long at this point, there's no way I could do that. There's no way I'd be able to function, and especially in a safe manner. So I don't know why they still call me, but they do. I get calls all the time. Calls, texts, and emails. All right, let's put on another bait here and see if we can bust another one. I ain't gonna fish much longer. That sun's behind a cloud right now, but it's still pretty damn miserable hot. I'm about ready to wrap it up out here. This flat, though, is starting to expand back out as we've made our way down through here. I'll show you here on the graph in just a second. You can see here. Now we've got the shoreline over here, and then the ledge drops off the river channel, but this area in between, that's flat. And it's starting to widen out again. It was wide when we started, and it narrowed down, and now it's getting wide again. So I'm glad we stayed on that contour line. even though we kind of went through a little dead spell there for a while. I'm glad we followed it, because we are now, I mean, that right there looks like some fish too. So we'll see if we get bit down through here, but we ain't gonna give it much longer. It's 10:30 there according to the clock, and I guess that clock's accurate. Let me look at my phone. Yeah, it's 10:31. So we're at that point in the morning where it's starting to get hot enough that I'm about done with it, and I'm getting hungry enough that it's about time to go eat. I'm a growing young boy, you know. I might be 44, but I still got to eat. Got to eat like I'm a growing young boy anyway. We sure got off on a weird tangent today, didn't we? You just never know where these conversations are going to go, y'all. That's how it is on these things. We start out with the best of intentions, starting talking about fishing, and then at some point in these videos, it's going to take a turn, and we're going to talk about real life and real stuff happening, and that's how we got on it today. By gosh, I never know how we're going to get there, but I always know these videos are going to take a turn. At some point, it's going to happen. It always does. But that's all right. It's that's the beauty of doing this style of video. I don't even know what you call it. Real fishing trip, podcast style, raw and uncut. I mean, there's a bunch of different names for it, but it's a real, authentic experience. If we were out here fishing together today, if we were in a boat together, or you in another kayak, you wouldn't be in this kayak with me. This kayak would support our weight for both of us. But I don't want to be in here that close to somebody all day. But you would be talking about this stuff and be like, well, I guarantee you, if we fish together today in real life, at some point in time, I would have told you how I just stared at my aunt during our lunch because she looked just like my grandma. You would have been subjected to that story regardless. So in this situation, you're voluntarily being exposed to that story by clicking on this video and choosing to stick around. But if we were out here actually fishing together and you just couldn't get away from me, you would have to listen to it. But either way, it would have been brought up. I promise you that. That's how it goes on these trips, man. But I'll tell you today, though, I mean, we've had another one of these trips today where the quality has been terrible. Like, we haven't gotten anything over 2 or 3 pounds all day. But boy, we've had good numbers today. I mean, we've had, what, a 20-minute break probably between bites. That was probably our longest, give or take, somewhere in there. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of days I fish on water and, hell, you might get skunked. Fish 4 or 5 hours and you get completely skunked. Out here today, I mean, we've had good numbers of fish. It's just the quality's been lacking. Maybe it's the bait, maybe it's the location. Certainly time of year plays a role. I mean, these same size baits of shad we've been using today was catching us big fish 2 months ago. But now a lot of our fish are on the nest, and just not as many out and about in the population here to be caught right now. But still, like, we've had a productive trip numbers wise. If we was able to eat fish out here safely and wanted to have a fish fry, we would have had enough today to make that happen. But it would have been nice if we could have somehow hooked something a little bigger. I'm jonesing for a big fish, but I think I'm going to fish tomorrow, and I think I'm going to do some ultralight fishing. I'm going to load the links up in the truck tonight, and what we got going on here? Okay, we got another one on the shad. Ooh, he's going to pull a little bit now. I love hearing that drag peeling. Big fish just pull it a little longer than the small ones do. He's got us turned though. Come on, motor, compensate for me here. I hope there's a way to fix that. That's today's project. I got to figure out if we can change the sensitivity on that thing, because that's very obnoxious. That's gonna make it hard if we're dealing with gusting winds or boat wake and stuff like that. Like that's gonna be hard to deal with. It may be a situation where we get this fish landed, I'm gonna look at it. This might be the simplest fix for it if possible. Yeah, this is another one here though. We'll land this fish first and then we're gonna look at something. This is another one that's, I will at least use the net on this one. He's a larger dink. He's up there for potentially the biggest fish of the day. Again, that ain't saying much today, but he's a little better quality anyway. Now quit it, quit it. You're caught now. You just admit defeat, fish. The old skinny thing, long and skinny. There he goes. I want to look at this screen right fast. So, you get water all over y'all? You got a little water on the lens, don't you? Good enough. When we go push our prop here, the speed is prop speed. And it tells us our miles per hour. I wonder, can we change? Oh, there it is. Yeah, we can change, we can put it in cruise control. Instead of prop speed, we can set a miles per hour as this rod goes down. Now that might fix it right there. Because before, when we were getting spun around, the prop speed is still going the same. But if we switch it to miles per hour, maybe it will compensate quicker to maintain that speed, possibly. That's something we'll play with on future trips. Too late now, ain't it, fish? Because me and you, we're about to get out of here in a minute, fish. Oh, no. Here we have made it all day without gut hooking one, and now we've got him. Dang. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that. It's too, I will for sure kill him if I try getting it out. Dang. Those bigger hooks saved us all day. All them fish we've caught on the chicken today. And that one there gets gut hooked. Dang, man. All right, well, you know what? I think that's a fitting, our other line's up anyway where we landed that other fish. I think that's a fitting time to call it quits on this video, folks. What do you think? I think that's because that sun just popped out behind the cloud too. And there's a lot of space between it and the next cloud, so it's about to get significantly hotter. I think that's a good fitting end for the video. Hate that fish got gut hooked though. We done so good with the bigger hooks today, with that not happening, and then it happens at the end. But anyway, we're going to keep playing with this kayak. We're going to keep playing with this setup. Hopefully now that, I should have tried that from the get-go. It just popped in my head. I wasn't even thinking about like setting a cruise control and a speed. So it'll be interesting to see going forward how that affects things. But we'll certainly play with that. I'm sure I'm going to learn some new things about this graph and setup and what it's capable of in the meantime too. So we've got some stuff to play with in the future here and dial in. And of course we got that other kayak coming as well, the inflatable, at some point over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Hopefully it should be here late July, early August. We'll see if everything goes according to plan with that. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna wrap up this trip and we'll go get some lunch. We'll upload this video, get that crap done. Hell, I might even have some time for some Mario Kart this afternoon before the wife gets home. What a treat that will be. I love me some Mario Kart, y'all, but you don't care about that. Anyway, I'll see y'all later. Thanks for coming with me today.